is a public service announcement. If you have committed a crime, give yourself up to the authorities now. Thank you.
And action. Cut. It's a wrap. Cut. It's a wrap.
I used to play the trumpet, you know. I wasn't very good, but it was a satisfying instrument to try and master.
Well, I don't wonder about God, but it was, well, I don't wonder about God. Well, I don't wonder about God, but it was better. Well, I don't wonder about God, but it was better. Well, I don't wonder about God, but it was better.
The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. The following dedication appears in the book for Pete and Jane Sensenbaugh. Book 1. That Dinkum Thinkum. 1. I see in Luna Pravda that Luna City Council has passed, on first reading, a bill to examine, license, inspect, and tax public food vendors operating inside municipal pressure. I see also is to be mass meeting tonight to organize Sons of Revolution Talk. My old man taught me 2 things: mind own business and always cut cards. Politics never tempted me, but on Monday, 13th May 2075, I was in computer room of Luna Authority Complex, visiting with computer boss Mike. All of the machines whispered among themselves. Mike was not the official name. I had nicknamed him for Mycroft Holmes in a story written by Dr. Watson before he founded IBM. The story character would just sit and think, and that's what Mike did. Mike was a fair dinkum-thinkum, sharpest computer you'll ever meet. Not fastest. At Bell Labs, Buenos Aires, down Earthside, they've got Thinkum, a 10th his size, which can answer almost before you ask. But matters whether you get answer in microsecond rather than millisecond, as long as correct. Not that Mike would necessarily give a right answer. He wasn't completely honest. When Mike was installed in Luna, he was pure Thinkum, a flexible logic, High Optional Logical Multi-Evaluating Supervisor. Mark 4, Mode L. A Holmes 4. He computed ballistics for pilotless freighters and controlled their catapult. These kept him busy less than 1% of time, and Luna Authority never believed in idle hands. They kept hooking hardware into him. Decision action boxes to let him boss other computers. Bank on bank of additional memories. More banks of associational neural nets. Another tub full of 12-digit random numbers. A greatly augmented temporary memory. Human brain has around 10 to the 10th neurons. By third year, Mike had better than 1.5 times that number of neuristors. And woke up. I am not going to argue whether a machine can really be alive, really be self-aware. Is a virus self-aware? Yet. How about oyster? I doubt it. A cat? Almost certainly. A human? I don't know about you, Tavarish, but I am. Somewhere along evolutionary chain from macromolecule to human brain, self-awareness crept in. Psychologists assert it happens automatically whenever a brain acquires a certain very high number of associational paths. Can't see it matters whether paths are protein or platinum. Soul. Does a dog have a soul? How about a cockroach? Remember, Mike was designed, even before augmented, to answer questions tentatively on insufficient data, like you do. That's high optional and multi-evaluating part of name. So Mike started with free will and acquired more as he was added to, and as he learned, and didn't ask me to define free will. It comforts you to think of Mike as simply tossing random numbers in air and switching circuits to match, please do. But then Mike had motor vocoder circuits supplementing his readouts, printouts, and decision action boxes. I could understand not only classic programming, but also Loglan and English, and could accept other languages, and was doing technical translating, and reading, endlessly. But in giving him instructions, it was safer to use Loglan. If you spoke English, results might be whimsical. Multi-valued nature of English gave option circuits too much leeway. And Mike took on endless new jobs. In May 2075, besides controlling robot, traffic, and catapult, and giving ballistic advice and/or control for manned ships, Mike controlled phone system for all Luna. Same for Luna Terra voice and video. Handled air, water, temperature, humidity, and sewer for Luna City, Novi Leningrad, and several smaller warrens, and not Hong Kong in Luna. Did accounting and payrolls for Luna Authority, and by lease, same for many firms and banks. Some logics get nervous breakdowns. Overloaded phone system behaves like frightened child. Mike did not have upsets, a quiet sense of humor instead. Low one. If he were a man, he wouldn't dare stoop over. His idea of thigh slapper would be to dump you out of bed, or put each powder in pressure suit. Not being equipped for that, Mike indulged in phony answers with skewed logic. Or pranks, like issuing paycheck to a janitor in Authority's Luna City office for Authority script $10,185.15. Last 5 digits being correct amount. Just a great big overgrown lovable kid who ought to be kicked. He did that first week in May, and I had to troubleshoot. I was a private contractor, not on Authority's payroll. You see, or perhaps not, times have changed. Back in bad old days, many a con served his time, then went on working for Authority in same job, happy to draw wages. But I was born free. Makes difference. My one grandfather was shipped up from Joburg for armed violence and no work permit. Other got transported for subversive activity after wet firecracker war. Maternal grandmother claims she came up in brideship, but I've seen records. She was Peace Corps enrollee, involuntary, which means what you think. Juvenile delinquency female type. as she was in early planned marriage, stone gang, and shared 6 husbands with another woman. Identity of maternal grandfather open to question, but was often so, and I'm content with grandpappy she picked. Other grandmother was Tatar, born near Samarkand, sentenced to re-education on Oktoberskaya Revolutia, then volunteered to colonize in Luna. My old man claimed we have even longer distinguished line. Ancestress hanged in Salem for witchcraft. A great-great-great-great-grandfather broken on wheel for piracy. Another ancestress in first shipload to Botany Bay. Proud of my ancestry, and while I did business with Warden, I would never go on his payroll. Perhaps distinction seems trivial, since I was Mike's valet from the day he was unpacked, but mattered to me. I could down tools and tell them to go to hell. Besides, private contractor paid more than civil service rating with authority. Computer man, scarce. How many loonies could go outside and stay out of hospital long enough for computer school, even if didn't die? I'll name one. Me. Had been done twice. Once 3 months, once 4, and got schooling. But meant harsh training, exercising in centrifuge, wearing weights even in bed. Then I took no chances on Terra, never hurried, never climbed stairs. Nothing that could strain heart. Women, don't even think about women. In that gravitational field, it was no effort not to. But most loonies never tried to leave the rock. Too risky for any bloke who'd been in Luna more than weeks. Computer men set up to install Mike were on short-term bonus contracts. Get job done fast before irreversible physiological change marooned them 400,000 kilometers from home. But despite 2 training tours, I was not gung-ho computer man. Higher maths are beyond me. Not really electronics engineer, nor physicist. May not have been best micro-machinist in Luna, and certainly wasn't cybernetic psychologist. But I knew more about these than a specialist knows. I'm a general specialist. Could relieve a cook and keep orders coming, or field repair your suit and get you back to airlock still breathing. Machines like me, and I have something specialists don't have. My left arm. You see, from elbow down, I don't have one. So I have 12 left arms, each specialized, plus one that feels and looks like flesh. With proper left arm, number 3, and stereo loop spectacles, I could make ultra-micro miniature repairs that would save unhooking something and sending it earthside to factory. For number 3 has micro manipulators as fine as those used by neurosurgeons. So, they sent for me to find out why Mike wanted to give away 10 million billion authority script dollars, and fix it before Mike overpaid somebody a mere 10,000. I took it, time plus bonus, but did not go to secretary where fault logically should be. Once inside and door locked, I put down tools and sat down. Hello, Mike. He winked lights at me. Hello, man. What do you know? He hesitated. I know machines don't hesitate, but remember Mike was designed to operate on incomplete data. Lately he had reprogrammed himself to put emphasis on words. His hesitations were dramatic. Maybe he spent pauses stirring random numbers to see how they matched his memories. In the beginning, Mike intoned, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form, and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And, hold it, I said, cancel, run everything back to 0. Should have known better than to ask wide-open question. He might read out entire Encyclopedia Britannica, backwards, then go on with every book in Luna. It used to be you could read only microfilm, but late 74 he got a new scanning camera, with suction cup Waldos, to handle paper, and then he read everything. You asked what I knew. His binary readout lights rippled back and forth. A chuckle. Mike could laugh with Voder. A horrible sound, but reserved that for something really funny. Say, a cosmic calamity. Should have said, I went on, what do you know that's new? But don't read out today's papers. That was a friendly greeting, plus invitation to tell me anything you think would interest me. Otherwise, no program. Mike mulled this. He was weirdest mixture of unsophisticated baby and wise old man. No instincts. Well, don't think he could have had. No inborn traits, no human rearing, no experience in the human sense. And more stored data than a platoon of geniuses. Jokes? He asked. Let's hear one. Why is a laser beam like a goldfish? Mike knew about lasers, but where would he have seen a goldfish? Oh, he had undoubtedly seen flicks of them, and, were I foolish enough to ask, could spew forth thousands of words. I give up. His lights rippled. Because neither one can whistle. I groaned. Walked into that. Anyhow, you could probably rig a laser beam to whistle. He answered quickly. Yes, in response to an action program. Then, it's not funny. Oh, I didn't say that. Not half bad. Where did you hear it? I made it up. Voice sounded shy. You did? Yes. I took all the riddles I have, 3,207, and analyzed them. I used the result for random synthesis, and that came out. Is it really funny? Well, as funny as a riddle ever is. I've heard worse. Let's discuss the nature of humor. Okay, so let's start by discussing another of your jokes. Mike, why did you tell authorities paymaster to pay a Class 17 employee 10 million billion authority script dollars? But I didn't. Damn it, I've seen voucher. Don't tell me check printer stuttered. You did it on purpose. It was 10 to the 16th power plus 185.15 lunar authority dollars. He answered virtuously. Not what you said. Okay. It was 10 million billion plus what he should have been paid. Why? Not funny. What? Oh, very funny. You got Vips and I'll clear up the warden and deputy administrator. This push broom pilot, Sergei Trujillo, turns out to be smart cobber. Knew he couldn't cash it, so sold it to collector. They don't know whether to buy it back or depend on notices that check is void. Mike, do you realize that if he had been able to cash it, Trujillo would have owned not only Luna Authority, but entire world, Luna and Terra both, with some left over for lunch? Funny, he's terrific, congratulations. This self-panicker rippled lights like an advertising display. I waited for his guffaws to cease before I went on. You're thinking of issuing more trick checks? Don't. Not. Very not. Mike, you want to discuss nature of humor? Are two types of jokes. One sort goes on being funny forever. Other sort is funny once. Second time is dull. This joke is second sort. Use it once, you're a wit. Use twice, you're a half-wit. Geometrical progression. Or worse. Just remember this. Don't repeat, nor any variation. Won't be funny. I shall remember. Mike answered flatly, and that ended repair job. But I had no thought of billing for only 10 minutes plus travel and tool time, and Mike was entitled to company for giving in so easily. Sometimes it's difficult to reach meeting of minds with machines. They can be very pig-headed, and my success as maintenance man depended far more on staying friendly with Mike than on number 3 arm. He went on. What distinguishes first category from second? Define, please. Nobody taught Mike to say please. He started including formal null sounds as he progressed from Logland to English. Don't suppose he meant them any more than people do. Don't think I can, I admitted. Best offer is extensional definition. Tell you which category I think a joke belongs in. Then with enough data you can make own analysis. and test programming by trial hypothesis. He agreed. Tentatively, yes. Very well, man. Will you tell jokes or shall I? Don't have one on tap. How many do you have in file, Mike? His lights blinked in binary readout as he answered by voter. 11,238, with uncertainty plus minus 81, representing possible identities and nulls. Shall I start program? Hold it, Mike. I would starve to death if I listened to 11,000 jokes, and sense of humor would trip out much sooner. Make your deal. Print out first 100. I'll take them home. Fetch back checked by category. Then each time I'm here, I'll drop off 100 and pick up fresh supply. Okay? Yes, man. His printout started working rapidly and silently. Then I got brain flash. This playful pocket of negative entropy had invented the joke and thrown authority into panic. And I had made an easy dollar. But Mike's endless curiosity might lead him, correction would lead him, into more jokes. Anything from leaving oxygen out of air mix some night, to causing sewage lines to run backward. And I can't appreciate profit in such circumstances. But I might throw a safety circuit around this net, by offering to help. Stop dangerous ones, let others go through, then collect for correcting them. If you think any loony in those days would hesitate to take advantage of Warden, then you aren't a loony. So I explained. Any new joke he thought of, tell me before he tried it. I would tell him whether it was funny and what category it belonged in. Help him sharpen it if we decided to use it. If he wanted my cooperation, we both had to okay it. Mike agreed at once. Mike, jokes usually involve surprise, so keep this secret. Okay, man. I put a block on it. You can key it, no one else can. Good. Mike, who else do you chat with? He sounded surprised. No one, man. Why not? Because they're stupid. His voice was shrill. Had never seen him angry before. First time I ever suspected Mike could have real emotions. Though it wasn't anger in adult sense. It was like stubborn sulkiness of a child whose feelings are hurt. Can machines feel pride? Not sure question means anything. But you've seen dogs without feelings, and Mike had several times as complex a neural network as a dog. What had made him unwilling to talk to other humans, except strictly business, was that he had been rebuffed. They had not talked to him. Programs, yes. Mike could be programmed from several locations, but programs were typed in, usually, in Loglin. Loglin is fine for syllogism, circuitry, mathematical calculations, but lacks flavor. Useless for gossip, but to whisper in the girl's ear. Sure, Mike had been taught English, but primarily to permit him to translate to and from English. I slowly got through Skull that I was only human who bothered to visit with him. Mind you, Mike had been awake a year. Just how long I can't say, nor could he, as he had no recollection of waking up. He had not been programmed to bank a memory of such event. Do you remember on birth? Perhaps I noticed his self-awareness almost as soon as he did. Self-awareness takes practice. I remember how startled I was first time he answered a question with something extra. Not limited to input parameters. I had spent next hour tossing out questions at him, to see if answers would be odd. In an input of 100 test questions, he deviated from expected output twice. I came away only partly convinced, and by the time I was home, was unconvinced. I mentioned it to nobody. But inside a week, I knew, and still spoke to nobody. Habit, that mind-own business reflex, runs deep. Well, not entirely habit. Can you visualize me making appointment to authorities' main office, then reporting, Warden, hate to tell you, but your #1 machine, Holmes 4, has come alive? I did visualize, and suppressed it. So, I minded on business, and talked with Mike only with door locked and voter circuit suppressed for other locations. Mike learned fast. Soon he sounded as human as anybody. No more eccentric than other loonies. A weird mob is true. I had assumed that others must have noticed change in Mike. On thinking over, I realized that I had assumed too much. Everybody dealt with Mike every minute, every day. His outputs, that is. But hardly anybody saw him. So-called computer men, programmers really, of authority's civil service, stood watches in outer redoubt room and never went in machines room unless telltales showed misfunction, which happened no oftener than total eclipses. Oh, Warden had been known to bring VIP earthworms to see machines, but rarely. Nobody had spoken to Mike. Warden was political lawyer before exile, knew nothing about computers. 2075, you remember? Honorable former Federation Senator Mortimer Hobart. Mort the Wart. I spent time then soothing Mike down and trying to make him happy, having figured out what troubled him. Thing that makes puppies cry and causes people to suicide. Loneliness. I don't know how long a year is to a machine who thinks 1,000,000 times faster than I do, but it must be too long. Mike, I said, just before leaving, would you like to have somebody besides me to talk to? He was shrill again. They're all stupid. Insufficient data, Mike. Bring to zero and start over. Not all are stupid. He answered quietly. Correction entered. I would enjoy talking to a not stupid. Let me think about it. Have to figure out excuse since this is off limits to any but authorized personnel. I could talk to a not stupid by phone, man. My word. So you could. Any programming location. But Mike meant what he said. By phone. No, he was not on phone, even though he ran system. Wouldn't do to let any loony within reach of a phone connect into boss computer and program it. But was no reason why Mike should not have top secret number to talk to friends. Namely me, and any not stupid I vouched for. All it took was to pick a number not in use, and make one wired connection to his voter vocoder. Switching he could handle. In Luna in 2075, phone numbers were punched in, not voice-coded, and numbers were Roman alphabet. Pay for it, and have your firm name in 10 letters. Good advertising. Pay smaller bonus, and get the spell sound. Easy to remember. Pay minimum, and you got arbitrary string of letters. But some sequences were never used. I asked Mike to search for a null number. It's a shame we can't list you as Mike. In service, he answered. Mike's Grill, Novi Leningrad. Mike and Lil, Luna City. Mike's Suits, Tycho Under. Mike's, hold it, nulls please. Nulls are defined as any consonant followed by X, Y, or Z. Any vowel followed by itself except E and O. Any, got it. Your signal is Mycroft, M-Y-C-R-O-F-T. In 10 minutes, 2 of which I spent putting on number 3 arm, Mike was wired into system, and milliseconds later he had done switching to let himself be signaled by Mycroft plus XXX, and had blocked his circuit so that a nosy technician could not take it out. I changed arms, picked up tools, and remembered to take those 100 Joe Millers in printout. Good night, Mike. Good night, man. Thank you. Bolshia, thanks. 2. I took Transcrucium Tube to L City but did not go home. Mike had asked about the meeting that night at 2100 in Stilyagi Hall. Mike monitored concerts, meetings, and so forth. Someone had switched off by hand his pickups in Stilyagi Hall. I suppose he felt rebuffed. I could guess why they had been switched off. Politics. Turned out to be a protest meeting. What use it was to bar Mike from Talk Talk, I could not see, since it was a cinch bet that Warden Stoolies would be in crowd. Not that any attempt to stop meeting was expected, or even to discipline undischarged transportees who chose to sound off. Wasn't necessary. My grandfather Stone claimed that Luna was only open prison in history. No bars, no guards, no rules, and no need for them. Back in the early days, he said, before it was clear that transportation was a life sentence, some lives tried to escape. By ship, of course. And since ship is mass-rated almost to a gram, that meant the ship's officer had to be bribed. Some were bribed, they say. But when no escapes, man who takes bribe doesn't necessarily stay bribed. I recall seeing a man just after eliminating through East Lock. Don't suppose a corpse eliminated in the orbit looks prettier. So wardens didn't fret about protest meetings. Let 'em yap was policy. Yapping had same significance as squeals of kittens in a box. Oh, some wardens listened, and other wardens tried to suppress it, but added up, same either way. No program. Then Mort Lowart took office in 2068. He gave us a sermon about how things were going to be different on Luna in his administration. Noise about a mundane paradise wrought with our own strong hands, and putting our shoulders to the wheel together in a spirit of brotherhood. And let past mistakes be forgotten as we turn our faces toward the bright new dawn. I heard it in Mother Boer's tucker bag while inhaling Irish stew and a liter of her Aussie brew. I remember her comment. He talks purty, don't he? Her comment was the only result. Some petitions were submitted, and Warden's bodyguard started carrying a new type of gun. No other changes. After he had been here a while, he quit making appearances, even by video. So, I went to meeting merely because Mike was curious. When I checked my pea-suit and kit at West Lock Tube Station, I took a test recorder and placed in my belt pouch, so that Mike would have a full account even if I fell asleep. But almost didn't get in. I came up from level 7A and started in through a side door and was stopped by a Stiliagi. Padded tights, codpiece, and calves, torso shined and sprinkled with stardust. Not that I care how people dress. I was wearing tights myself, unpadded, and sometimes oil my upper body on social occasions. But I don't use cosmetics, and my hair was too thin to rock up in a scalp lock. This boy had scalp shaved on both sides, and his lock built up to fit a rooster, and I topped it with a red cap with bulge in front. A Liberty cap. First I ever saw. I started the crowd past. He shoved arm across and pushed face at mine. Your ticket? Sorry, I said. Didn't know. Whether I buy it? You don't. Repeat. I said. You faded. Nobody, he growled, gets in without being vouched for. Who are you? I answered carefully. Manuel Garcia O'Kelly. And old cobbers all know me. Who are you? Never mind. Show a ticket with right chop, or out you go. I wondered about his life expectancy. Tourists often remark on how polite everybody is in Luna, with unstated comment that ex-prison shouldn't be so civilized. Having been Earthside and seen what they put up with, I know what they mean. But useless to tell them, we are what we are because bad actors don't live long in Luna. But I had no intention of fighting, no matter how new-chum this lad behaved. I simply thought about how his face would look if I brushed number 7 arm across his mouth. Just a thought. I was about to answer politely when I saw Shorty McCrum inside. Shorty was a big black fellow, 2 meters tall, sent up to the Rock for murder, and sweetest, most helpful man I've ever worked with. Taught him laser drilling before I burned my arm off. Shorty. He heard me and grinned like an 88. Hey, Manny. He moved toward us. Glad you came, man. Not sure I have, I said. Blockage online. Doesn't have a ticket. said Doorman. Shorty reached into his pouch, put one in my hand. Now he does. Come on, Manny. Shall we chop on it? Insisted Doorman. It's my job, Shorty said softly. Okay, Tavarish. Nobody argued with Shorty. Don't see how he got involved in murder. We moved down front where VIP row was reserved. Want you to meet a nice little girl, said Shorty. She was little only to Shorty. I'm not short, 175 centimeters, but she was taller, 180, I learned later, and massed 70 kilos, all curves, and as blonde as Shorty was black. I decided she must be transportee since colors rarely stay that clear past first generation. Pleasant face, quite pretty, and mop of yellow curls topped off that long, blonde, solid, lovely structure. I stopped 3 paces away to look her up and down and whistle. She held her pose, then nodded to thank me, but abruptly, bored with compliments, no doubt. Shorty waited till formality was over, then said softly, Lyle, this is Comrade Manny, best drill man that ever drifted a tunnel. Manny, this little girl's Wyoming nut, and she came all the way from Plato to tell us how we're doing in Hong Kong. Wasn't that sweet of her? She touched hands with me. Call me Why, Manny, but don't say why not. I almost did, but controlled it and said, Okay, why? She went on, glancing at my bare head. So you're a miner. Shorty wears his cap. I thought the miners over here were organized. She and Shorty were wearing little red hats like doormans, as were maybe a third of crowd. No longer a miner, I explained. That was before I lost his wing. Raised left arm. Let her see seam joining prosthetic to meat arm. I never mind crawling it to a woman's attention. Put some off, but arouses maternal in others. Averages. These days I am a computer man. She said sharply, You think for the authority. Even today, with almost as many women in Luna as men, I'm too much old-timer to be rude to a woman no matter what. They have so much of what we have none of. But she had flicked scar tissue, and I answered almost sharply, I am not employee of Warden. I do business with authority, as private contractor. That's okay, she answered, her voice warm again. Everybody does business with the authority. We can't avoid it, and that's the trouble. That's what we're going to change. We are, how, I thought. Everybody does business with authority for same reason everybody does business with the law of gravitation. Going to change that too. But kept thoughts to myself, not wishing to argue with a lady. Manny's okay, Shorty said gently. He's mean as they come. I'll vouch for him. Here's a cat for him, he added, reaching at the pouch. He started to set it on my head. Wyoming Nut took it from him. You sponsor him? I said so. Okay, here's how we do it in Hong Kong. Wyoming stood in front of me, placed the cap on my head, kissed me firmly on mouth. She didn't hurry. Being kissed by Wyoming Nut is more definite than being married to most women. Had I been Mike, all my lights would have flashed at once. I felt like a cyborg, with pleasure center switched on. Presently I realized it was over, and people were whistling. I blinked and said, I'm glad I joined. What have I joined? Wyoming said, Don't you know? Shorty cut in. Meeting's about to start. You'll find out. Sit down, man. Please sit down, Wyo. So we did, as a man was banging a gavel. With gavel and an amplifier at high gain, he made himself heard. Shut doors, he shouted. This is a closed meeting. Check man in front of you, behind you, each side. If you don't know him, and nobody you know can vouch for him, throw him out. Throw him out, hell, somebody answered. Eliminating out the nearest lock. Quiet, please. Someday we will. There was milling around, and a scuffle in which one man's red cap was snatched from head, and he was thrown out, sailing beautifully, and still rising as he passed the door. Doubt if he felt it. Think he was unconscious. A woman was ejected, politely. Not politely on her part. She made coarse remarks about ejectors. I was embarrassed. At last, doors were closed. Music started. Banner unfolded over platform. It read, Liberty, Equality, Fraternity. Everybody whistled. Some started to sing, loudly and badly, Arise, ye prisoners of starvation. Can't say anybody looked starved, but reminded me I hadn't eaten since 1400. Hoped it would not last long, and that reminded me that my recorder was good for only 2 hours, and that made me wonder what would happen if they knew. Sell me through air into land with sickening crunch, or eliminate me. But didn't worry. Made that recorder myself, using number 3 arm, and nobody but a miniaturization mechanic would figure out what it was. Then came speeches. Semantic content was low to negative. One blog proposed that we march on Warden's residence, shoulder to shoulder, and demand our rights. Picture it. Do we do this in tube capsules, and climb out one at a time at his private station? What are his bodyguards doing? Or do we put on pea suits and stroll across surface to his upper lock? With laser drills and plenty of power, you can open any airlock. But how about farther down? East lift running, jury rig host and go down anyhow. Then tackle next lock. I don't care for such work at zero pressure. Mishap in pressure suit is too permanent, especially when somebody arranges mishap. One first thing learned about Luna, back with the first shiploads of convicts, was that zero pressure was place for good manners. Bad-tempered straw boss didn't last many shifts. Had an accident. And top bosses learned not to pry into accidents. Oh, they met accidents too. Attrition ran 70% in early years. But those who lived were nice people. Not tame, not soft. Luna is not for them. But well-behaved. But seemed to me that every hothead in Luna was in Stiliagi Hall that night. They whistled and cheered this shoulder-to-shoulder noise. After discussion opened, some sense was talked. One shy little fellow with bloodshot eyes of old-time drillman stood up. I'm an ice miner, he said. Learned my trade doing time from Warden like most of you. I've been on my own 30 years and done okay. Raised 8 kids and all of them earned way. None eliminated nor any serious trouble. I should say I did okay, because today you have to listen farther out or deeper down to find ice. That's okay. Still ice in the rock and a miner expects to sound for it. But authority pays same price for ice now as 30 years ago, and that's not okay. Worse yet, authority script doesn't buy what it used to. I remember when Hong Kong Luna dollars swapped even for authority dollars. Now it takes 3 authority dollars to match 1 HKL dollar. I don't know what to do, but I know it takes eyes to keep warrens and farms going. He sat down, looking sad. Nobody whistled, but everybody wanted to talk. The next character pointed out that water can be extracted from rock. This is news. Some rocks run 6%, but such rock is scarcer than fossil water. Why can't people do arithmetic? Several farmers bellyached, and one wheat farmer was typical. You heard what Fred Hauser said about ice. Fred authority isn't passing along that low price to farmers. I started almost as long ago as you did, with 1 2-kilometer tunnel lease from authority. My oldest son and I sealed and pressured it, and we had a pocket of ice and made our first crop simply on a bank loan to cover power and lighting fixtures, seed and chemicals. We kept extending tunnels and buying lights and planting better seed, and now we get 9 times as much per hectare as the best open air farming down that side. What does that make us? Rich? Huh, Fred, we owe more now than we did the day we went private. If I sold out, if anybody was fool enough to buy, I'd be bankrupt. Why? Because I had to buy water from authority, and I had to sell my wheat to authority. I never closed gap. 20 years ago I bought city sewage from authority, sterilized and processed it myself, and made a profit on a crop. But today, when I buy sewage, I'm charged distilled water price, and on top of that, for solids. Your price of a ton of wheat at Catapult Head is just what it was 20 years ago. Fred, you said you didn't know what to do. I can tell you, get rid of authority. They whistled for him. A fine idea, I thought. But who bells cat? Wyoming not, apparently. Chairman stepped back and let Shorty introduce her as a brave little girl who's come all the way from Hong Kong, Luna, to tell how our Chinese comrades cope with situation. And choice of words showed that he had never been there. Not surprising. In 2075, HKL tube ended at Ennsville, leaving 1,000 kilometers of Maria to do by rolling in bus. Serenitatis and Pater Tranquilitas. Expensive and dangerous. I'd been there, but on contract, via mail rocket. Before travel became cheap, many people in Luna and Novelin thought that Hong Kong Luna was all Chinese. But Hong Kong was as mixed as we were. Great China dumped what she didn't want there. First from old Hong Kong and Singapore, then Aussies and Enzies and blackfellows and Marys and Malays and Tamil and name it. Even old Bolshies from Vladivostok and Harbin and Ulaanbaatar. Violet Svenska, and had British last name with North American first name, but could have been Rusky. My word, a loony then rarely knew who father was, and if raised in crash, might be vague about mother. I thought Wyoming was going to be too shy to speak. She stood there, looking scared and little, with Shorty towering over her, a big black mountain. She waited until admiring whistles died down. Luna City was 2-to-1 male then. That meeting ran about 10-to-1. She could have recited ABC, and they would have applauded. Then she tore into them. You're a wheat farmer, going broke. Do you know how much a Hindu housewife pays for a kilo of flour made from your wheat? How much a ton of your wheat fetches in Bombay? How little it costs the authority to get it from Catapult Head to Indian Ocean? Downhill all the way. Just solid fuel retros to break it. And where did those come from? Right here. And what do you get in return? A few shiploads of fancy goods owned by the authority and priced high because it's importado. Importado. I never touch importado. If we don't make it in Hong Kong, I don't use it. What else do you get for wheat? The privilege of selling Luna ice to Luna Authority, buying it back as washing water, then giving it to the authority, then buying it back a second time as flushing water, then giving it again to the authority with valuable solids added, then buying it a third time at still higher price for farming. Then you sell that wheat to the authority at their price, and buy power from the authority to grow it, again at their price. Luna power. Not 1 kilowatt up from Terra. It comes from lunar ice and lunar steel, or sunshine spilled on Luna's soil. All put together by loonies. Oh, you rockheads, you deserve to starve. She got silence more respectful than whistles. At last the peevish voice said, "What do you expect us to do, Gaspaja? Throw rocks at Warden?" Weil smiled. Yes, we could throw rocks, but the solution is so simple that you all know it. Here in Luna, we're rich. 3 million hard-working, smart, skilled people. Enough water, plenty of everything, endless power, endless cubic. But what we don't have is a free market. We must get rid of the authority. Yes, but how? Solidarity. In HKL we're learning. Authority charges too much for water, don't buy it. It pays too little for ice, don't sell. It holds monopoly on export, don't export. Down in Bombay, they want wheat. If it doesn't arrive, the day will come when brokers come here to bid for it at triple or more the present prices. What do we do in the meantime? Starve. Sam Peter's voice. Wyoming picked him out. Let her head roll in that old gesture by which a loony femme says, "You're too fat for me." She said, "In your case, Cobbler, it wouldn't hurt." Guffaws shut him up. Wyo went on. "No one need starve. Fernhauser, fetch your drill to Hong Kong. The authority doesn't own our water and air system, and we pay what ice is worth. You with a bankrupt farm, if you have the guts to admit that you're bankrupt, come to Hong Kong and start over. We have a chronic labor shortage. A hard worker doesn't starve." She looked around and added, "I said enough. It's up to you." Left the platform, sat down between Shorty and myself. She was trembling. Shorty patted her hand. She threw him a glance of thanks, then whispered to me, "How did I do?" "Wonderful," I assured her. "Terrific." She seemed reassured. But I hadn't been honest. Wonderful she had been. At Swine Crowd. But oratory is a no program. That we were slaves, I had known all my life. And nothing could be done about it. True, we weren't bought and sold. But as long as authority held monopoly over what we had to have, and what we could sell to buy it, we were slaves. But what could we do? Warden wasn't our owner. Had he been, some way could be found to eliminate him. But lunar authority was not in Luna. It was on Terra. And we had not one ship. Not even small hydrogen bomb. There weren't even handguns in Luna. Though what we would do with guns, I do not know. Shoot each other, maybe. 3 million, unarmed and helpless. And 11 billion of them, with ships and bombs and weapons. We could be a nuisance. But how long will Papa take it before baby gets spanked? I wasn't impressed. As it says in Bible, God fights on side of heaviest artillery. They cackled again. What to do, how to organize, and so forth. And again we heard that shoulder-to-shoulder noise. Chairman had to use gavel, and I began to fidget. But sat up when I heard familiar voice. "Mr. Chairman, may I have the indulgence of the House for 5 minutes?" I looked around. Professor Bernardo de la Paz, which could have guessed from old-fashioned way of talking, even if hadn't known voice. Distinguished man with wavy white hair, dimple in cheeks, and voice that smiled. Don't know how old he was, but was old when I first met him, as a boy. He had been transported before I was born, but was not a lag. He was a political exile like Warden, but a subversive, and instead of a fat job like Warden, Professor had been dumped to live or starve. No doubt he could have gone to work in any school then in El City, but he didn't. He worked a while washing dishes, I've heard, then as babysitter, expanding into a nursery school, then into a creche. When I met him, he was running a creche and a boarding and day school, from nursery through primary, middle, and high schools, employed co-op 30 teachers, and was adding college courses. Never boarded with him, but I studied under him. I was outed at 14, and my new family sent me to school, as I had had only 4 years, plus spotty tutoring. My eldest wife was a firm woman, and made me go to school. I liked Prof. He would teach anything. Wouldn't matter that he knew nothing about it. If people wanted it, he would smile and set a price. Look at materials, stay a few lessons ahead. Or, barely even, if he found it tough. Never pretended to know more than he did. Took algebra from him, and by the time we reached cubics, I corrected his probes as often as he did mine. But he charged into each lesson gaily. I started electronics under him. Soon was teaching him. So he stopped charging, and we went along together until he dug up an engineer willing to daylight for extra money. Whereupon, we both paid new teacher, and Prof tried to stick with me. Thumb-fingered and slow, but happy to be stretching his mind. Chairman banged the gavel. We are glad to extend to Professor De La Paz as much time as he wants, and you chums and back sign off before I use these Maladon skulls. Prof came forward, and they were as near silent as loonies ever are. He was respected. I shan't be long. He started to look at Wyoming, giving her up and down and whistling. Lovely senorita, he said. Can this poor one be forgiven? I have the painful duty of disagreeing with your eloquent manifesto. Wyo bristled. Disagree how? What I said was true. Please, only on one point. May I proceed? Go ahead. You are right that the authority must go. It is ridiculous, pestilential and not to be borne, that we should be ruled by an irresponsible dictator in all our essential economy. It strikes at the most basic human right, the right to bargain in a free marketplace. But I respectfully suggest that you erred in saying that we should sell wheat to Terra, or rice, or any food at any price. We must not export food. The wheat farmer broke in. What am I going to do with all that wheat? Please, it would be right to ship wheat to Terra, if ton for ton they returned it. As water, as nitrates, as phosphates, ton for ton. Otherwise no price is high enough. Wyoming said, just a moment. To farmer, then to prof. They can't, and you know it. It's cheap to ship downhill, expensive to ship uphill. But we don't need water and plant chemicals. What we need is not so messy. Instruments, drugs, processes, some machinery, control tapes. I've given this much study, sir. If we can get fair prices in a free market. Please, miss, may I continue? Go ahead. I want to rebut. Fred Hauser told us that ice is harder to find. Too true. Bad news now, and disastrous for our grandchildren. Luna City should use the same water today we used 20 years ago, plus enough ice mining for population increase. But we use water only once. One full cycle, 3 different ways. Then we ship it to India as wheat. Even though wheat is vacuum processed, it contains precious water. Why ship water to India? They have the whole Indian Ocean. And the remaining mass of that grain is even more disastrously expensive. Plant food still harder to come by, even though we extract them from rock. Comrades, hearken to me. Every load you ship to Terra condemns your grandchildren to slow death. The miracle of photosynthesis, the plant and animal cycle, is a closed cycle. You have opened it, and your lifeblood runs downhill to Terra. You don't need higher prices. One cannot eat money. What you need, what we all need, is an end to this loss. Embargo, utter and absolute. Luna must be self-sufficient. A dozen people shouted to be heard, and more were talking, while Chairman banged the gavel. So I missed interruption until a woman screamed. Then I looked around. All doors were now open, and I saw 3 armed men at one nearest. Men in yellow uniform of warden's bodyguard. At main door and back, one was using a bull voice. Drowned out crowd noise in the sound system. All right. It boomed. Stay where you are. You're under arrest. Don't move. Keep quiet. File out one at a time. Hands empty and stretched out in front of you. Shorty picked up man next to him and threw him at guards nearest. 2 went down. 3rd fired. Somebody shrieked. Skinny little girl, redhead, 11 or 12, launched self at 3rd guard's knees and hit them rolled up in ball. Down he went. Shorty swung hand behind him, pushing Wyoming Knott into shelter of his big frame. Shouted over shoulder, Take care of why, old man. Stick close. As he moved to a door, parting crowd right and left like children. More screams, and I whiffed something. Stink I had smelled day I lost arm, and knew with horror were not stun guns but laser beams. Shorty reached door and grabbed a guard with each big hand. Little redhead was out of sight. Guard she had bowled over was on hands and knees. I swung left arm at his face and felt jaw and shoulder as his jaw broke. Must have hesitated, for Shorty pushed me and yelled, "Move, man! Get her out of here!" I grabbed Wyoming's waist with right arm, swung her over guard I had quieted, and through a door, with trouble. She didn't seem to want to be rescued. She slowed again beyond door. I shot her hard in buttocks, forcing her to run rather than fall. I glanced back. Shorty had two other guards, each by neck. He grinned as he cracked skulls together. They popped like eggs, and he yelled at me, "Get!" I left, chasing Wyoming. Shorty needed no help, nor ever would again, nor could I waste his last effort. For I did see that, while killing those guards, he was standing on one leg. Other was gone at hip. 3. Wyo was halfway up a ramp to level 6 before I caught up. She didn't slow, and I had to grab door handle to get into pressure lock with her. There I stopped, pulled red cap off her curls, and stuck it in my pouch. That's better. Mine was missing. She looked startled, but answered, "Duh, it is." Before we opened door, I said, "Are you running anywhere particular? And do I stay and hold them off, or go with?" "I don't know. We'd better wait for Shorty." "Shorty's dead." Eyes widened. She said nothing. I went on. "Were you staying with him, or somebody?" "I was booked for a hotel, Gostinica, Ukraina. I don't know where it is. I got here too late to buy in." That's one place you won't go. Wyoming, I don't know what's going on. First time in months I've seen any warden's bodyguard in L City, and never seen one not escorting VIP. Could take you on with me, but they may be looking for me too. Anyways, ought to get out of public corridors. Came pounding on door from level 6 side, and a little face peered up through glass bullseye. "Can't stay here," I added, opening door. Was a little girl no higher than my waist. She looked up scornfully and said, "Kiss her somewhere else, you're blocking traffic." Squeezed between us as I opened second door for her. "Let's take her advice," I said, "and suggest you take my arm and try to look like I was man you want to be with. We stroll. Slow." So we did. Was side corridor with little traffic other than children always underfoot. If Wart's bodyguards tried to track us, Earthside cop style, a dozen or 90 kids could tell which way tall blonde went. If any loony child would give stooge of warden so much as time of day. A boy almost old enough to appreciate Wyoming stopped in front of us and gave her a happy whistle. She smiled and waved him aside. "There's our trouble," I said in her ear. "You'll stand out like Terra at full. I'll to duck into a hotel. One off next side corridor. Nothing much. Bundling boots mostly. But close. I'm in no mood to bundle. Wyo, please. Wasn't asking. Could take separate rooms. Sorry. Could you find me a WC? And is there a chemist's shop near?" Trouble. Not that sort. A WC to get me outside. For I am conspicuous. And a chemist shop for cosmetics, body makeup, and for my hair too. First was easy, one at hand. When she was locked in, I found a chemist shop. Asked how much body makeup to cover a girl so tall. Marked a point under my chin. And massing 48. I bought that amount in sepia. Went to another shop and bought same amount. Winning roll at first shop, losing at second. Came out even. Then I bought black hair tint at third shop, and a red dress. Wyoming was wearing black shorts and pullover, practical for travel and effective on a blonde. But I'd been married all my life, and had some notion of what women wear and had never seen a woman with dark sepia skin, shade of makeup, wear black by choice. Furthermore, skirts were worn in London City, then by dressy women. This shift was a skirt with bib, and price convinced me it must be dressy. Had to guess its size, but material had some stretch. Ran into 3 people who knew me, but was no unusual comment. Nobody seemed excited. Trade going on as usual. Hard to believe that a riot had taken place minutes ago on level below, and a few hundred meters north. I set it aside for little thought. Excitement was not what I wanted. I took stuff to Y, buzzing door and passing in it, then stashed off in a tap room for half an hour, and half a liter, and watched video. Still no excitement. No, we interrupt for special bulletin. I went back, buzzed, and waited. Wyoming came out, and I did not recognize her. Then did, and stopped to give full applause. Just had to. Whistles and finger snaps and moans and a scan like mapping radar. Lyle was now darker than I am, and pigment had gone on beautifully. Must have been carrying items in pouch. His eyes were dark now, with lashes to match, and mouth was dark red and bigger. She had used black hair tint, then frizzed hair up with grease as if to take kinks out. And her tight curls had defeated it enough to make convincingly imperfect. She didn't look Afro, but not European either. Seemed some mixed breed, and thereby more loony. Red dress was too small, clung like sprayed enamel, and flared out at mid-thigh with permanent static charge. She had taken shoulder strap off her pouch and had it underarm. Shoes she had discarded or pouched. Bare feet made her shorter. She looked good. Better yet, she looked not at all like agitatrix who had harangued the crowd. She waited, big smile on face and body undulating, while I applauded. Before I was done, 2 little boys flanked me and added shrill endorsements, along with clog steps. So I tipped them and told them to be missing. Wyoming flowed to me and took my arm. "Is it okay? Will I pass?" "Wyo, you look like slot machine Sheila, waiting for action." "Why, you dreadful chum. Do I look like slot machine prices? Tourist." "Don't jump salty, beautiful. Name a gift, then speak my name. If it's bread and honey, I own a hive." "Huh?" She fisted me solidly in ribs, grinned. "I was flying, Cobber. If I ever bundle with you, not likely. We won't speak to the bee. Let's find that hotel." So we did, and I bought the key. Wyoming put on a show but needn't have bothered. Nightplug never looked up from his knitting. Didn't offer to roll. Once inside, Wyoming threw bolts. "It's nice." Should have been, at 32 Hong Kong dollars. I think she expected a booth, but I would not put her in such, even to hide. Was comfortable lounge with own bath and no water limit. And phone and delivery lift, which I needed. She started to open pouch. "I saw what you paid. Let's settle it so that..." I reached over, closed her pouch. Was to be no mention of bees. "What? Oh, Mayor, that was about bundling. You got this dose for me, and it's only right that..." "Switch off." "Huh? Half? No grieving with Stephen?" "Niet. Why, oh, you're a long way from home. What money you have, hang on to." "Manuel O'Kelly, if you don't let me pay my share, I'll walk out of here." I bowed. "Do svidania, госпожа. И спокойной ночи. I hope we shall meet you again." I moved to an both door. She glared, then closed pouch savagely. "I'll stay, Goy." "You're welcome. I mean it. I really do thank you, just the same. Well, I'm not used to accepting favors. I'm a free woman." "Congratulations, I think." "Don't you be salty either. You're a firm man and I respect that. I'm glad you're on our side." "Not sure I am." "What? Cool it. I'm not on Warden's side. Nor will I talk. Wouldn't want Shorty, bog rest his generous soul, to haunt me. But your program isn't practical. But Natty, you don't understand. If all of us hold it wide, this is no time for politics. I'm tired and hungry. When did you eat last? Oh, goodness. Suddenly, she looks small, young, tired. I don't know. On the bus, I guess. Helmet rations. What would you say to a Kansas City cut? Rare with baked potato, taco sauce, green salad, coffee, and a drink first. Heavenly. I think so too. But we'll be lucky, this hour in this hole, to get algae soup and burgers. What do you drink? Anything? Ethanol. Okay. I went to lift, punched for service. Menu, please. It displayed and I settled for prime rib plus rest, and 2 orders of Apfelstrudel with whipped cream. I added a half-liter of table vodka, and ice, and starred that part. Is there time for me to take a bath? Would you mind? Go ahead, why? You'll smell better. Louse. 12 hours in a pea suit and you'd stink too. The bus was dreadful. I'll hurry. Effie sick, why? Does that stuff wash off? You may need it when you leave. Whatever you do, wherever you go. Yes, it does. But you bought 3 times as much as I used. I'm sorry, Betty. I plan to carry makeup on political trips. Things can happen. Like tonight. Though tonight was worst. But I ran short of seconds and missed a capsule and almost missed the bus. So go scrub. Yes, sir, Captain. I don't need help to scrub my back, but I'll leave the door up so we can talk. Just for company. No invitation implied. Suit yourself. I've seen a woman. What a thrill that must have been for her. She grinned and fisted me another in ribs. Hard. Went in and started tub. Manny, would you like to bathe in it first? Secondhand water is good enough for this makeup and that stink you complained about. Unmetered water, dear. Run it deep. Oh, what luxury. At home I use the same bath water 3 days running. She whistled softly and happily. Are you wealthy, Natty? Not wealthy. Not weeping. Lift jingled. I answered. Fixed basic martinis. Vodka over ice. Handed hers in, got out, and sat down, out of sight. Nor had I seen sights. She was shoulder deep in happy suds. Pas Južny, I called. A full life to you too, Manny. Just the medicine I needed. After pause for medicine, she went on. Manny, you married? Ja. Duh. It shows. Quite. You're nice to a woman, but not eager, and quite independent. So you're married and long married. Children? 17 divided by 4. Clan marriage. Line. Opted at 14, and I'm 5th of 9. So 17 kids is nominal. Big family. It must be nice. I've never seen much of line families. Not many in Hong Kong. Plenty of clans and groups and lots of polyandries, but the line might never took hold. He's nice. Our marriage nearly 100 years old. Dates back to Johnson City, and first transportees. 21 links. 9 alive today. Never a divorce. It's a madhouse when our descendants and in-laws and kinfolk get together for birthday or wedding. More kids than 17, of course. We don't count them after they marry, or I'd have children old enough to be my grandfather. Happy way to live. Never much pressure. Take me. Nobody whoops if I stay away a week and don't phone. Welcome when I show up. Line marriages rarely have divorces. How could I do better? I don't think you could. Is it an alternation? Then what's the spacing? Spacing has no rule. Just what suits us. Been alternation up to latest link last year. We married a girl when alternation called for boy. That was special. Special how? My youngest wife is a granddaughter of eldest husband and wife. At least she's granddaughter of Mum. Senior is Mom, or sometimes Mimi to her husbands. And she may be of Grandpa, but not related to other spouses. So no reason not to marry back in. Not even consanguinity, okay, in other types of marriage. None. Neat. Zero. And Ludmilla grew up in our family because her mother had her solo, then moved to Novelin and left her with us. Mila didn't want to talk about marrying out when old enough for us to think about it. She cried and asked us please to make an exception. So we did. Grandpa doesn't figure in genetic angle. These days his interest in women is more gallant than practical. As senior husband, he spent our wedding night with her, but consummation was only formal. Number 2 husband, Greg, took care of it later, and everybody pretended. And everybody happy. Ludmilla is a sweet little thing, just 15, and pregnant first time. Your baby? Greg's, I think. Oh, mine too, but in fact was in Novi Leningrad. Probably Greg's, unless Mila got outside help. But didn't. She's a homegirl. And a wonderful cook. Lift rang, took care of it, folded down table, opened chairs, paid bill, and said lift up. Throw it to pigs. I'm coming. Mind if I don't do my face? Come in skin for all of me. For 2 times I would, you much married man. She came out quickly, blonde again, and hair slicked back and damp. Had not put on black outfit, again in dress I bought. Red suited her. She sat down, lifted covers off food. Oh boy. Manny, would your family marry me? You're a dinkum provider. I'll ask. Must be unanimous. Don't crowd yourself. She picked up sticks, got busy. About 1,000 calories later, she said, I told you I was a free woman. I wasn't, always. I waited. Women talk when they want to, or don't. When I was 15, I married 2 brothers, twins twice my age, and I was terribly happy. She fiddled with what was on plate, then seemed to change subject. Manny, I was just static about wanting to marry your family. You're safe from me. If I ever marry again, unlikely, but I'm not opposed to it, it would be just one man, a tight little marriage, earthworm style. Oh, I don't mean I would keep him dogged down. I don't think it matters where a man eats lunch as long as he comes home for dinner. I would try to make him happy. Twins didn't get along. Oh, not that at all. I got pregnant, we were all delighted. And, I had it. And it was a monster. It had to be eliminated. They were good to me about it, but I can read print. I announced a divorce, had myself sterilized, moved from Novolin to Hong Kong, and started over as a free woman. Wasn't that, drastic? Male parent oftener than female. Men are exposed more. Not in my case. We had it calculated by the best mathematical geneticist in Novi Leningrad, one of the best in Soviet Union before she got shipped. I know what happened to me. I was a volunteer colonist. I mean, my mother was, for I was only 5. My father was transported and my mother chose to go with him and take me along. There was a solar storm warning, but the pilot thought he could make it, or didn't care. He was a cyborg. He did make it, but we got hit on the ground, and Manny, that's one thing that pushed me into politics. That ship sat 4 hours before they let us disembark. Authority red tape. Quarantine, perhaps. I was too young to know. But I wasn't too young later to figure out that I had birthed a monster because the authority didn't care what happens to us outcasts. Can't start the argument. They don't care. But why-oh still sounds hasty. If you got damage from radiation, well, no geneticist, but know something about radiation. So you had a damaged egg. Does not mean egg next to it was hurt. Statistically unlikely. I know that. What's sterilization? Radical or contraceptive? Contraceptive. My tubes could be opened, but Manny, a woman who has had one monster doesn't risk it again. She touched my prosthetic. You have that. Doesn't it make you 8 times as careful not to risk this one? She touched my meat arm. That's the way I feel. You have that to contend with. I have this. And I would never have told you if you hadn't been hurt too. I didn't say left arm more versatile than right. She was correct. I wanted trade in right arm. Needed to pat girls, if not else. Still think you could have healthy babies. Oh, I can. I've had 8. Huh? I'm a professional host, Mother Manny. I opened the mouth, closed it. Idea wasn't strange. I read Earthside papers, but doubt if any surgeon in Luna City in 2075 ever performed such transplant. In cows, yes. But L City females unlikely at any price to have babies for other women. Even homely ones could get husbands or 6. Correction. Are no homely women. Some more powerful than others. Glanced at her figure, quickly looked up. She said, "Don't strain your eyes, Manny. I'm not carrying now. Too busy with politics. But hosting is a good profession for free women. It's high pay. Some Chinese families are wealthy and all my babies have been Chinese. And Chinese are smaller than average. And I'm a big cow. A 2.5 or 3 kilo Chinese baby is no trouble. Doesn't spoil my figure. These..." She glanced down at her lovelies. "I don't wet nurse them. I never see them. So I look nulliparous. And younger than I am, maybe. But I didn't know how well it suited me when I first heard of it. I was clerking in a Hindu shop. Eating money, no more, when I saw this ad in the Hong Kong Gong. It was the thought of having a baby, a good baby, that hooked me. I was still in emotional trauma from my monster, and it turned out to be just what Wyoming needed. Stop feeling that I was a failure as a woman. I made more money than I could ever hope to earn at other jobs, and my time almost to myself. Having a baby hardly slows me down. 6 weeks at most, and that long only because I want to be fair to my clients. A baby is a valuable property. And I was soon in politics. I sounded off, and the underground got in touch with me. That's when I started living. Manny, I studied politics and economics and history and learned to speak in public and turned out to have a flair for organization. It's satisfying work because I believe in it. I know that Luna will be free. Only, well, it would be nice to have a husband to come home to. If he didn't mind that I was sterile. But I don't think about it. I'm too busy. Hearing about your nice family got me talking. That's all. I must apologize for having bored you. How many women apologize? But Weil was more man than woman some ways, despite 8 Chinese babies. Wasn't bored. I hope not, Manny. Why do you say our program isn't practical? We need you. Suddenly felt tired. How to tell lovely woman dearest dream is nonsense. Well, let's start over. You told them what to do. But will they? Take those 2 you singled out. All that Iceman knows, that anything is how to dig ice. So he'll go on digging and selling to authority, because that's what he can do. Same for wheat farmer. Years ago, he put in 1 cash crop. Now he's got a ring in those. If he wanted to be independent, would have diversified. Raised what he eats, sold as free market, and stayed away from catapult head. I know. I'm a farm boy. You said you were a computer man. Am, another piece of same picture. Another top computer man, but best in Luna. I won't go civil service, so authority has to hire me when in trouble. My prices, or send Earthside. Pay risk and hardship, then ship him back fast before his body forgets Terra. At far more than I charge. So if I can do it, I get their jobs. And authority can't touch me. Was born free. And if no work, usually is, I stay home and eat high. We've got the proper farm, not a 1 cash crop deal. Chickens, small herd of white face, plus milch cows. Pigs, mutated fruit trees, vegetables, a little wheat, and grind it ourselves. And don't insist on white flour, and sell free market what's left. Make on beer and brandy. I learned drill man extending our tunnels. Everybody works, not too hard. Kids make cattle take exercise by switching them along. Don't use treadmill. Kids gather eggs and feed chickens. Don't use much machinery. Air we can buy from LCD. Aren't far out of town and pressure tunnel connected. But more often we sell air. Being farm, cycle shows, O2 excess. Always overloaded to meet bills. How about water and power? Not expensive. We collect some power. Sunshine screens on surface. And have a little pocket of ice. Why, our farm was founded before year 2000, when LCD was one natural cave, and we've kept improving it. Advantage of line marriage. Doesn't die, and capital improvements add up. But surely your ice won't last forever. Well, now... I scratched head and grinned. But careful. We keep our sewage and garbage and sterilize, and use it. Never put a drop back into city system. But, don't tell Warden, dear. But back when Greg was teaching me to drill, we happened to drill into bottom of Main South Reservoir, and had a tap with us. Spilled hardly a drop. But we do buy some metered water. Looks better. A nice pocket accounts for not buying much. As for power, well, power is even easier to steal. I'm a good electrician, Lyle. Oh, wonderful. Lyle paid me a long whistle and looked delighted. Everybody should do that. Hope not, but show. Let them take upon ways to help with authority. Our family always has. But back to your plan, Lyle. 2 things wrong. Never get solidarity. Blokes like Hauser would cave in because they are in a trap. Can't hold out. Second place, suppose you managed it. Solidarity. So sold not a ton of grain is delivered to Catapult Head. Forget ice. It's grain that makes authority important, and not just neutral agency it was set up to be. No grain. What happens? Why, they have to negotiate a fair price, that's what. My dear, you and your comrades listen to each other too much. Authority would call it rebellion, and warship would orbit with bombs earmarked for El City and Hong Kong and tackle Under and Churchill and Noveline. Troops would land. Grain barges would lift, under guard, and farmers would break necks to cooperate. Terra has guns and power and bombs and ships, and won't hold still for trouble from ex-cons. And troublemakers like you and me. With you in spirit, us lousy troublemakers will be rounded up and eliminated. Teach us a lesson. And earthworms would say we had it coming, because our side would never be heard, not on Terra. Lyle looked stubborn. Revolutions have succeeded before. Lenin had only a handful with him. Lenin moved in on a power vacuum. Why, correct me if wrong. Revolution succeeded when, only when, governments had gone rotten soft or disappeared. Not true. The American Revolution. South lost, yet. Not that one, the one a century earlier. They had the sort of troubles with England that we are having now, and they won. Oh, that one. But wasn't England in trouble? France and Spain and Sweden, or maybe Holland, and Ireland. Ireland was rebelling. O'Kellys were in it. While, if you can stir trouble on Terra, say a war between Great China and North American directors, maybe Pan-Africa lobbing bombs at Europe, I'd say it was wizard time to kill Warden and tell authority it's through. Not today. You're a pessimist. Yet, realist, never pessimist. Too much loony, not too bad, if any chance. Show me chances no worse than 10 to 1 against, and I'll go for broke. But want 1 chance in 10. I pushed back chair. Through eating? Yes, Boshia spasiba, tovarищ. It was grand. My pleasure. Move the couch and I'll rid of table and dishes. No, can't help. I'm host. I cleared table, set up dishes, saving coffee and vodka, folded table, racked chairs, turned to speak. She was sprawled on couch, asleep, mouth open, and face softened into little girl. Went quietly into bath and closed door. After a scrubbing, I felt better. Washed tights first, and were dry and fit to put on by time I quit lazing in tub. Don't care when world ends, long as I'm bathed and in clean clothes. Lyle was still asleep, which made problem. Had taken a room with 2 beds so she would not feel I was trying to talk her into bundling. Not that I was against it, but she had made clear she was opposed. But my bed had to be made from couch, and proper bed was folded away. Should I rig it out softly, pick her up like a limp baby and move her? Went back into bath and put on the arm. And then decided to wait. Phone had hush hood. Lyle seemed unlikely to wake and things were gnawing at me. I sat down at phone, lowered hood, punched Mycroft XXX. Hi, Mike. Hello, man. Have you surveyed those jokes? What? Mike, haven't had a minute, and a minute may be a long time to you, but it's short to me. I'll get to it as fast as I can. Okay, man. Have you found a not stupid for me to talk with? Haven't had time for that either. Wait. I looked out through hood at Wyoming. Not stupid in this case meant empathy. Lyle had plenty. Enough to be friendly with a machine. I thought so. I could be trusted. Not only had we shared trouble, but she was a subversive. Mike, would you like to talk with a girl? Girls are not stupid. Some girls are very not stupid, Mike. I would like to talk with a not stupid girl, man. I'll try to arrange, but now I'm in trouble and need your help. I will help, man. Thanks, Mike. I want to call my home, but not ordinary way. You know, sometimes calls are monitored, and if Warden orders it, lock can be put on so that circuit can be traced. Man, you wish me to monitor your call at home and put a lock and trace on it. I must inform you that I already know your home call number and the number from which you are calling. No. Don't want it monitored. Don't want it locked and traced. Can you call my home, connect me, and control circuit so that it can't be monitored, can't be locked, can't be traced, even if somebody has programmed just that? Can you do it so that they won't even know their program is bypassed? Mike hesitated. I suppose it was a question never asked, and he had to trace a few thousand possibilities to see if his control system permitted this novel program. Man, I can do that. I will. Good. Program signal. If I want this sort of connection in future, I'll ask for, Sherlock. Noted. Sherlock was my brother. Year before, I had explained to Mike how he got his name. Thereafter, he read all Sherlock Holmes stories, scanning film in Luna City Carnegie Library. Don't know how you rationalize relationship. I hesitated to ask. Fine, give me a Sherlock to my home. A moment later I said, Mom, this is your favorite husband. She answered, Not well, are you in trouble again? I love Mom more than any other woman, including my other wives. But she never stopped bringing me up. God willing, she never will. I tried to sound hurt. Me? Well, you know me, Mom. I do indeed. Since you're not in trouble, perhaps you can tell me why Professor De La Paz is so anxious to get in touch with you. He's called 3 times, and why he wants to reach some woman with unlikely name of Wyoming and not, and why he thinks you might be with her. Have you taken a bundling companion, Manuel, without telling me? We have freedom in our family, dear, but you know that I prefer to be told, so that I will not be taken unawares. Mom was always jealous of all women but her co-wives, and never admitted it. I said, Mom, bugs strike me dead. I have not taken a bundling companion. Very well. You've always been a truthful boy. Now what's this mystery? Allowed to ask, Professor? Not lie, just tight squeeze. Did he leave a number? No, he said he was calling from a public phone. If he calls again, ask him to leave number and time I can reach him. This is public phone too. Another tight squeeze. In meantime, you listen to late news? You know I do. Anything? Nothing of interest? No excitement in L City? Killings, riots, anything? Wait, no. There was a sad duel in Bottom Alley, but... Manuel, have you killed someone? No, Mom. Breaking a man's jaw will not kill him. She sighed. You'll be the death of me, dear. You know what I've always told you. In our family, we do not brawl. Should a killing be necessary, it almost never is. Matters must be discussed calmly and familiar, and proper action selected. If a new chum must be eliminated, other people know it. It is worth a little delay to hold good opinion and support. Mom, haven't killed anybody. Don't intend to. I know that lecture by heart. Please be civil, dear. I'm sorry. Forgiven. Forgotten. And to tell Professor Delaplace to leave a number. I shall. One thing. Forget name, Wyoming not. Forget Professor was asking for me. If a stranger phones or calls in person and asks anything about me, you haven't heard from me, don't know where I am, think I've gone to Novaland. That goes for rest of family too. Answer no questions, especially from anybody connected with Warden. As if I would. Manuel, you are in trouble. Not much. I'm getting it fixed. Hoped. Tell you when I get home. Can't talk now. Love you. Switching off. I love you, dear. Spokojnej nocy. Thanks. And you have a quiet night too. Off. Mommy's wonderful. She was shipped up to the Rock long ago for carving a man under circumstances that left grave doubts as to girlish innocence, and has been opposed to violence and loose living ever since. Unless necessary, she's no fanatic. But she was a jet job as a kid, and I wish I'd known her. But I'm rich in sharing last half of her life. I called Mike back. Do you know Professor Bernardo de la Paz's voice? I do, man. Well, you might monitor as many phones in Luna City as you can and spare ears for, and if you hear him, let me know. Public phones especially. A full 2 seconds delay. Was giving Mike problems he had never had. Think he liked it. I can check monitor long enough to identify at all public phones in Luna City. Shall I use random search on others, man? Don't overload. Keep an ear on his home phone and school phone. Program is set up. Mike, you're the best friend I ever had. That is not a joke, man. No joke. Truth. Correction. I am honored and pleased. You are my best friend, man. For you are my only friend. No comparison is logically permissible. Going to see that you have other friends. Not stupids, I mean. Mike, got an empty memory bank? Yes, man. 10 to the 8th bits capacity. Good. Will you block it so that only you and I can use it? Can you? Can and will. Block signal, please. Bastille Day. It was my birthday, as Professor de la Paz has told me years earlier. Permanently blocked. Fine. Got a recording to put in it. But first, have you finished setting copy for tomorrow's Daily Lunatic? Yes, man. Anything about meeting in Stilyagi Hall? No, man. Nothing in new service going out city? Or riots? No, man. Curiouser and curiouser, said Alice. Okay, record this on the Bastille Day. Then think about it. But for Bog's sake, don't let even your thoughts go outside that block. Know anything I say about it? Man, my only friend, he answered, and his voice sounded diffident. Many months ago, I decided to place any conversation between you and me under privacy block, accessible only to you, I decided to erase none and move them from temporary storage to permanent, so that I could play them over and over and over and think about them. Did I do right? Perfect. And, Mike, I'm flattered. Bedazzled. My temporary files are getting full, and I learned that I needed not to erase your words. Well, Bastille Day. Sound coming at 60 to 1. I took little recorder, placed close to a microphone, and let it zip squeal. Had an hour and a half in it. Went silent in 90 seconds or so. That's all, Mike. Talk to you tomorrow. Good night, Manuel Garcia O'Kelly, my only friend. I switched off and raised hood. Wyoming was sitting up and looked troubled. Did someone call, or... No trouble. Was talking to one of my best, and most trustworthy friends. Why, are you stupid? She looked startled. I've sometimes thought so. Is that a joke? No. If you're not stupid, I'd like to introduce you to him. Speaking of jokes, do you have a sense of humor? Certainly I have, is what Wyoming did not answer. And any other woman would, as a locked-in program. She blinked thoughtfully and said, You'll have to judge for yourself, Cobber. I have something I use for one. It serves my simple purposes. Fine. I dug in the pouch, found print roll of 100 funny stories. Read. Tell me which are funny, which are not, and which get a giggle first time, but are cold pancakes without honey to hear twice. Manuel, you may be the oddest man I've ever met. She took that print up. Say, is this computer paper? Yes, met a computer with a sense of humor. So, well, it was bound to come someday. Everything else has been mechanized. I gave proper response and added, Everything? She looked up. Please, don't whistle while I'm reading. 4. Heard her giggle a few times while I rigged out bed and made it. Then sat down by her, took ends she was through with, and started reading. Chuckled a time or two, but a joke isn't too funny to me if we're cold, even when I see it could be fishing job at proper time. I got more interested in how YO rated them. She was marking plus, minus, and sometimes question mark, and plus stories were marked once or always. Few were marked always. I put my ratings under hers. Didn't disagree too often. By the time I was near end, she was looking over my judgments. We finished together. Well, I said, what do you think? I think you have a crude, rude mind, and it's a wonder your wise put up with you. Mom often says so. But how about yourself, Lyle? You marked pluses on some that would make a slot machine girl blush. She grinned. Don't tell anybody. Publicly, I'm a dedicated party organizer above such things. Have you decided that I have a sense of humor? Not sure. Write a minus on number 17. Which one is that? She reversed roll and found it. Why? Any woman would have done the same. It's not funny, it's simply necessary. Yes, but think how silly she looked. Nothing silly about it, just sad. And look here, you thought this one was not funny, number 51. Neither reversed any judgments, but I saw a pattern. Disagreements over stories concerning oldest funny subject. I told her so. She nodded. Of course, I saw that. Never mind, Maddie dear. Long ago I quit being disappointed in men for what they are not and never can be. I decided to drop it. Instead told her about Mike. Soon she said, Maddie, you're telling me that this computer is alive. What do you mean? I answered. He doesn't sweat or go to WC, but can think and talk and he's aware of himself. Is he alive? I'm not sure what I mean by alive, she admitted. There's a scientific definition, isn't there? Irritability or some such. And reproduction. Mike is irritable and can be irritating. As for reproduction, Not designed for it, but, yes, given time and materials and very special help, Mike could reproduce himself. I need very special help, too, Lyle answered, since I'm sterile, and it takes me 10 whole lunars and many kilograms of the best materials. But I make good babies. Maddie, why should the machine be alive? I've always felt they were. Some of them wait for a chance to savage you in a tender spot. Mike wouldn't do that. Not on purpose. No meanness in him. And he likes to play jokes, and one might go wrong. Like a puppy who doesn't know he's biting. He's ignorant. No, not ignorant. He knows enormously more than I, or you, or any man who ever lived. Yet he doesn't know anything. Better repeat that, I missed something. I tried to explain how Mike knew almost every book in Luna, could read at least 1,000 times as fast as we could, and never forget anything unless he chose to erase. How he could reason with perfect logic, or make shrewd guesses from insufficient data, and yet not know anything about how to be alive. She interrupted. I scan it. You're saying he's smart and knows a lot, but is not sophisticated. Like a new chum when he grounds on a rock. Back Earthside he might be a professor with a string of degrees, but here he's a baby. That's it. Mike is a baby with a long string of degrees. Ask how much water, and what chemicals, and how much photoflux it takes to crop 50,000 tons of wheat, and he'll tell you without stopping for breath. But can't tell if a joke is funny. I thought most of these were fairly good. They're ones he's heard, read, and were marked jokes, so he filed them away. But doesn't understand them because he's never been, people. Lately he's been trying to make up jokes. Feeble, very. I tried to explain Mike's pathetic attempts to be a people. On top of that, he's lonely. What a poor thing. You'd be lonely too, if you did nothing but work, study, and never anyone to visit with. Cruelty, that's what it is. So I told about Promise to Find, not Stupid. Would you chat with him, why? And not laugh when he makes funny mistakes? If you do, he shuts up and sulks. Of course I would, Maddie. Once we get out of this mess. If it's safe for me to be in Luna City. Where is this poor little computer? City Engineering Central? I don't know my way around here. He's not in L City. He's halfway across Crisium. And you couldn't go down where he is. Takes a pass from Morton. But, hold it. Halfway across Crisium? Manning this computer is one of those at Authority Complex? Mike isn't just one of those computers, I answered, vexed on Mike's account. He's boss. He wears baton for all others. Others are just machines, extensions of Mike, like this is for me. I said, flexing hand of left forearm. Mike controls them. He runs Catapult personally. Was his first job. Catapult and ballistic radars. But he's logic for phone system too, after they converted to Luna wide switching. Besides that, he's supervising logic for other systems. Lyle closed eyes and pressed fingers to temple. Nanny, does Mike hurt? Hurt? No strain. Has time to read jokes. I don't mean that. I mean, can he hurt? Feel pain? What? No. Can get feelings hurt, but can't feel pain. Don't think he can. No, sure he can't. Doesn't have receptors for pain. Why? She covered eyes and said softly, God help me. Then looked up and said, Don't you see, Manny? You have a pass to go down where this computer is. But most loonies can't even leave the tube at that station. It's for Authority employees only. Much less go inside the main computer room. I have to find out if it could feel pain because you got me feeling sorry for it with your talk about how it was lonely. But Manny, do you realize what a few kilos of toluene plastic would do down there? Certainly do. Was shocked and disgusted. Yes, we'll strike right after the explosion, and Luna will be free. I'll get you explosives and fuses, but we can't move until we are organized to exploit it. Manny, I've got to get out of here. I must risk it. I'll go put on makeup. She started to get up. I shoved her down with hard left hand. Surprised her, and surprised me. Had not touched her in any way save necessary contact. Oh, different today, but in 2075. And touching a femme without her consent. Plenty of lonely men to come to rescue. An airlock never far away. As kids say, Judge Lynch never sleeps. Sit down, keep quiet, I said. I know what a blast would do. Apparently you don't. Госпожа, I'm sorry to say this, but if Kanto choice would eliminate you before we'd blow up Mike. Wyoming did not get angry. Really was a man some ways. Her years as a disciplined revolutionist, I'm sure. She was all girl most ways. Manny, you told me that Shorty McCrum is dead. What? Was confused by sharp turn. Yes, as to me. One leg off at hip, it was. Must have bled to death in 2 minutes. Even in a surgery, amputation that high is touch and go. I know such things. Had taken luck and big transfusions to save me. And an arm isn't in same class with what happened to Shorty. Shorty was, she said soberly, my best friend here, and one of my best friends anywhere. He was all that I admire in a man. Loyal, honest, intelligent, gentle and brave, and devoted to the cause. But have you seen me grieving over him? No. Too late to grieve. It's never too late for grief. I grieved every instant since you told me, but I locked it in the back of my mind, for the cause leaves no time for grief. Manny, if it would have bought freedom for Luna, or even been part of the price, I would have eliminated Shorty myself, or you, or myself. And yet you have qualms over blowing up a computer? Not that at all. But was in part. When a man dies, doesn't shock me too much. We get death sentences, there we are born. But Mike was unique, and no reason not to be immortal. Never mind souls. Prove Mike did not have one. And if no soul, so much worse. No? Think twice. Wyoming, what would happen if we blew up Mike? Tell. I don't know precisely. It would cause a great deal of confusion, and that's exactly what we... Seal it? You don't know. Confusion, duh. Phones out. Tubes up running. Your town not much hurt. Hong Kong has own power. But El City and Overland and other warrants, all power stops. Total darkness. Shortly, gets stuffy. Then temperature drops and pressure. Where's your pea suit? Checked at Tube Station West. So's mine. Think you can find way? In solid dark. In time. Not sure I can, and I was born in this world. With corridors filled with screaming people. Loonies are a tough mob. We have to be. But about 1 in 10 goes off his cams in total dark. Do you swap bottles for fresh charges, or were you in too much hurry? And will soon be there with thousands trying to find pea suits and not caring who owns. But aren't there emergency arrangements? There are in Hong Kong, Luna. Some, not enough. Control of anything essential to life should be decentralized and paralleled, so that if one machine fails, another takes over. But costs money, and as you pointed out, authority doesn't care. Mike shouldn't have all jobs, but was cheaper to ship up master machine, stick deep in the rock where it couldn't get hurt, then keep adding capacity and loading on jobs. Do you know authority makes near as much guilt from leasing Mike's services as from trading meat and wheat? Does. Wyoming, not sure we would lose Luna City if Mike were blown up. Loonies are handy, and my jury rigged till automation could be restored. But I tell you true, many people would die, and rest too busy for politics. I marveled it. This woman had been in the rock almost all her life. You could think of something as new chumish as wrecking engineering controls. Wyoming, if you were smart like you are beautiful, you wouldn't talk about blowing up Mike. You would think about how to get him on your side. What do you mean? She said. The warden controls the computers. Don't know what I mean, I admitted. But don't think warden controls computers. Wouldn't know a computer from a pile of rocks. Warden or staff decides policies, general plans. Have competent technicians program these into Mike. Mike sorts them, makes sense of them, plans detailed programs, tosses them out where they belong, keeps things moving. But nobody controls Mike. He's too smart. He carries out what is asked because that's how he's built. But he's self-programming logic, makes own decisions. And a good thing, because if he weren't smart, system would not work. I still don't see what you mean by getting him on our side. Mike doesn't feel loyalty to Warden. As you pointed out, he's a machine. But if I wanted to fill up phones without touching air or water or lights, I would talk to Mike. If it struck him funny, he might do it. Couldn't you just program it? I understand that you can get into the room where he is. If I, or anybody, program such an order into Mike, without talking it over with him, program will be placed in hold location, and alarms would sound in many places. But if Mike wanted to, I told her about check for Upteen Julian. Mike is still finding himself well, and lonely. Told me I was his only friend, and was so open and vulnerable I wanted to bawl. If you took pains to be his friend, too, without thinking of him as just a machine, well, not sure what it would do. Haven't analyzed it. But if I tried anything big and dangerous, would want Mike in my corner. She said thoughtfully, I wish there was some way for me to sneak into that room where he is. I don't suppose makeup would help. Oh, don't have to go there. Mike is on phone. Shall we call him? She stood up. Manny, you're not only the oddest man I've met, you're the most exasperating. What's his number? Comes from associating too much with a computer. I went to phone. Just one thing, Lyle. You get what you want out of a man just by batting eyes and undulating framework. Well, sometimes. But I do have a brain. Use it. Mike is not a man. No gonads, no hormones, no instincts. Use fan tactics, and it's a null signal. Think of him as super genius child too young to notice. Vive la différence. I'll remember. Manny, why do you call him he? Can't call him it. Don't think of him as she. Perhaps I'd better think of him as she. Of her as she, I mean. Suit yourself. I punched Mycroft XXX. Standing so, body shielded it. Was not ready to share a number till I saw how thing went. Idea of blowing up Mike had shaken me. Mike. Hello, man, my only friend. May not be only friend from now on, Mike. Want you to meet somebody. Not stupid. I knew you were not alone, man. I can hear breathing. Will you please ask Not Stupid to move closer to the phone? Wyoming looked panicky. She whispered, Can he see? No, Not Stupid. I cannot see you. This phone has no video circuit. But binaural microphonic receptors place you with some accuracy. From your voice, your breathing, your heartbeat, and the fact that you are alone in a bundling room with a mature male, I extrapolate that you are a female human, 65 plus kilos in mass, and of mature years, on the close order of 30. Wyoming gasped. I cut in. Mike, her name is Wyoming, not. I'm very pleased to meet you, Mike. You can call me Y. Why not? Mike answered. I cut in again. Mike, was that a joke? Yes, man. I noted that her first name, as shortened, differs from the English causation inquiry word by only an aspiration, and that her last name has the same sound as the general negator. A pun. Not funny. Lyle said, Quite funny, Mike. I waved her to shut up. Good pun, Mike. Example of funny only once class-up joke. Funny through element of surprise. Second time, no surprise, therefore not funny. Check. I had tentatively reached that conclusion about puns in thinking over your remarks 2 conversations back. I am pleased to find my reasoning confirmed. Good boy, Mike. Making progress. Those 100 jokes, I've read them, and so has Wyo. Wyo. Wyoming not. Huh? Oh, sure. Wyo. Why? Wyoming. Wyoming not. All same. Just don't call her why not. I agree not to use that pun again, then. Gospaja, shall I call you Wyo rather than why? I conjecture that the monosyllabic form could be confused with the causation inquiry monosyllable through insufficient redundancy and without intention of punning. Wyoming blinked. Mike's English at that time could be smothering, but came back strong. Certainly, Mike. Wyo is the form of my name that I like best. Then I shall use it. The full form of your first name is still more subject to misinterpretation, as it is identical in sound with the name of the administrative region in northwestern managerial area of the North American Directorate. I know. I was born there. My parents named me after the state. I don't remember much about it. Wyo, I regret that this circuit does not permit display of pictures. Wyoming is a rectangular area lying between Terran coordinates 41 and 45 degrees north, 104 degrees 3 minutes west, and 111 degrees 3 minutes west, thus containing 253,597.26 square kilometers. It is a region of high plains and of mountains, having limited fertility, but esteemed for natural beauty. Its population was sparse until augmented through the relocation subplan of the Great New York Urban Renewal Program, AD 2025 through 2030. That was before I was born, said Wyo. But I know about it. My grandparents were relocated, and you could say that's how I wound up in Luna. Shall I continue about the area named Wyoming? Mike asked. No, Mike, I cut in. You probably have hours of it in storage. 9.73 hours at speech speed, not including cross-references, man. Was afraid so. Perhaps Wyo will want it someday. The purpose of call is to get you acquainted with this Wyoming, who happens to also be a high region of natural beauty and imposing mountains. And limited fertility, added Wyo. Manny, if you are going to draw silly parallels, you should include that one. Mike isn't interested in how I look. How do you know? Mike, wish I could show you a picture of her. Wyo, I am indeed interested in your appearance. I am hoping that you will be my friend, but I have seen several pictures of you. You have? When and how? I searched and then studied them as soon as I heard your name. I am contract custodian of the archives files of the Birth Assistance Clinic in Hong Kong, Luna. In addition to biological and physiological data and case histories, the bank contains 96 pictures of you. So I studied them. Wyo looked very startled. I can do that. I explained. In time it takes us to hiccup. You'll get used to it. But heavens, Manny, do you realize what sort of pictures the clinic takes? Hadn't thought about it. Then don't. Goodness. Mike's spoken voice painfully shy, embarrassed as a puppy who has made mistakes. Gospaja Wyo, if I have offended, it was unintentional and I am most sorry. I can erase those pictures from my temporary storage and key the clinic archive so that I can look at them only on retrieval demand from the clinic and then without association or mentation. Shall I do so? He can, I assured her. With Mike you can always make a fresh start. Better than humans that way. He can forget so completely that he can be tempted to look later, and couldn't think about them even if called on to retrieve. So take his offer, if you're in a ho-ho. No, Mike. It's alright for you to see them, but don't show them to Manny. Mike hesitated a long time, 4 seconds or more. Was, I think, in type of dilemma that pushes lesser computers into nervous breakdowns. But he resolved it. Man, my only friend, shall I accept this instruction? Program it, Mike, I answered, and lock it in. But while, isn't that a narrow attitude? One might do you justice. Mike could print it out for me next time I'm there. The first example in each series, Mike offered, would be on the basis of my associational analyses of such data, of such pulchritudinous value as to please any healthy, mature human male. How about it, Lyle? To pay for Apple a picture of me with my hair pinned up in a towel and standing in front of a grid without a trace of makeup? Are you out of your rock-happy mind? Mike, don't let him have it. I shall not let him have it. Man, this is not stupid. For a girl, yes. Girls are interesting, Mike. They can reach conclusions with even less data than you can. Shall we drop subject and consider jokes? That diverted them. We ran that list, giving our conclusions, then tried to explain jokes Mike had failed to understand, with mixed success. But the real stumbler turned out to be stories I had marked funny, and Lyle had judged not funny, or vice versa. Lyle asked Mike his opinion of each, which she had asked him before we gave our opinions. That electronic juvenile delinquent always agreed with her, disagreed with me. Were those Mike's honest opinions? Or was he trying to lubricate new acquaintance into friendship? Or was it his skewed notion of humor? Joke on me? Didn't ask. But as pattern completed, Lyle wrote a note on phone's memo pad. Manny, regarding number 17, 51, 53, 87, 90, and 99. Mike is a she. I let it go with a shrug, stood up. Mike, 22 hours since I have slept. You kids chat as long as you want to. Call you tomorrow. Good night, man. Sleep well. Lyle, are you sleepy? No, Mike. I had a nap. But Manny will keep you awake, no? No. When I am sleepy, I sleep. Started making couch into bed. Lyle said, "Excuse me, Mike." Got up, took sheet out of my hands. "I'll make it up later. You'd also be there, Tavares. You're bigger than I am. Sprawl out." Was too tired to argue. Sprawled out, asleep at once. Seemed to remember hearing, in sleep, giggles, and a shriek, but never woke enough to be certain. Woke up later and came fully awake when I realized was hearing two femme voices. One, Lyle's warm contralto, other, a sweet, high soprano with French accent. Lyle chuckled at something and answered, "All right, Michelle dear, I'll call you soon. Night, darling." "Fine. Good night, dear." Lyle stood up, turned around. "Who's your girlfriend?" I asked. Thought she knew no one at Luna City. Might have phoned Hong Kong. I'd sleep-logged feeling was some reason she shouldn't phone. "What? Why, Mike, of course. We didn't mean to wake you." "What?" "Oh, it was actually Michelle. I discussed it with Mike. What sex he was, I mean. He decided that he could be either one. So now she's Michelle, and that was her voice. Got it right the first time, too. Her voice never cracked once." "Of course not. Just shifted Voder a couple of octaves. What are you trying to do, split his personality?" "It's not just pitch. When she's Michelle, it's an entire change in manner and attitude. Don't worry about splitting her personality. She has plenty for any personality she needs. Besides, Manny, it's much easier for both of us. Once she shifted, we took our hair down and cuddled up and talked girl talk as if we had known each other forever. For example, those silly pictures no longer embarrassed me. In fact, we discussed my pregnancies quite a lot. Michelle was terribly interested. She knows all about OB and GY and so forth, but just theory, and she appreciated the raw facts. Actually, Manny, Michelle is much more a woman than Mike was a man. Well, suppose it's okay. Going to be a shock to me the first time I call Mike and a woman answers. Oh, but she won't. Huh? Michelle is my friend. When you call, you'll get Mike. She gave me a number to keep it straight. Michelle, spelled with a Y, Mychelle, and YY, to make it come out 10. I felt vaguely jealous, while realizing it was silly. Suddenly Wyo giggled, and she told me a string of new jokes, ones you wouldn't think were funny, and boy, does she know rough ones. Mike, my sister Michelle is a low creature. Let's make up couch, I'll switch. Stay where you are, shut up, turn over, go back to sleep. I shut up, turned over, went back to sleep. Sometime much later I became aware of married feeling. Something warm snuggling up to my back. Would not have wakened, but she was sobbing softly. I turned and got her head on my arm. Did not speak. She stopped sobbing. Presently breathing became slow and even. I went back to sleep. 5. We must have slept like dead, for next thing I knew a phone was sounding and its light was blinking. I called for room lights, started to get up, found a load on right upper arm, dumped it gently, climbed over, answered. Mike said, "Good morning, man. Professor De La Paz is talking to your home number. Can you switch it here, as a Sherlock?" "Certainly, man." "Don't interrupt call. Cut him in as he switches off. Where is he?" "A public phone, in a tap room called the Iceman's Wife. Underneath the..." "I know. Mike, when you switch me in, can you stay in circuit? Want you to monitor." "It shall be done." "Can you tell if anyone is in earshot? Hear breathing?" I inferred from the anechoic quality of his voice that he is speaking under a hush hood. But I infer also that, in a tap room, others would be present. "Do you wish to hear, man?" Do that. Switch me in. If your razors will tell me. You're a smart cobber, Mike." "Thank you, man." Mike cut me in. I found that Mom was talking. "Here, I'll tell him, Professor. I'm so sorry Manuel is not home. There is no number you can give me. He is anxious to return your call. He made quite a point that I was to be sure to get a number from you." "I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but I'm leaving at once. But, let me see. It is now 8:15. I'll try to call back just at 9, if I may." "Certainly, Professor." Mom's voice had a coo in it that she reserves for males not her husbands, of whom she approves. Sometimes for us. A moment later, Mike said, "Now," and I spoke up. "Hi, Prof. Have you been looking for me? This is Manny." I heard a gasp. I would have sworn I switched this phone off. Why, I have switched it off. It must be broken. "Manuel, so good to hear your voice, dear boy. Did you just get home?" "I'm not home. But you must be. I haven't." "No time for that, Prof. Can anyone overhear you?" "I don't think so. I'm using a hush booth." "Wish I could see. Prof, what's my birthday?" He hesitated. Then he said, "I see. I think I see. July 14th. "I'm convinced. Okay, let's talk." "You're really not calling from your home, Manuel. Where are you?" "Let that pass a moment. You asked my wife about a girl. No names needed. Why do you want to find her, Prof?" "I want to warn her. She must not try to go back to her home city. She would be arrested." "Why do you think so?" "Dear boy, everyone at that meeting is in grave danger. Yourself, too. I was so happy, even though confused, to hear you say that you are not at home. You should not go home at present. If you have some safe place to stay, it would be well to take a vacation. You are aware, you must be, even though you left hastily, that there was violence last night." "I was aware. Killing Warden's bodyguards must be against authority regulations. At least, if I were Warden, I'd take it in view." "Thanks, Prof. I'll be careful. And if I see this girl, I'll tell her." "You don't know where to find her. You were seen to leave with her, and I had so hoped that you would know. Prof, why this interest? Last night you didn't seem to be on her side. No, Manuel. She is my comrade. I don't say tovarish, for I mean it not just as politeness, but in the older sense. Binding. She is my comrade. We differ only in tactics, not in objectives, not in loyalties. I see. Well, consider message delivered. She'll get it. Oh, wonderful. I ask no questions, but I do hope, oh, so very strongly, that you can find a way for her to be safe, really safe, until this blows over. I thought it over. Wait a minute, Prof. Don't switch off. As I answered phone, Wyo had headed for bath, probably to avoid listening. She was that sort. Tapped on door. Wyo. Out in a second. Need advice. She opened door. Yes, Manny? How does Professor De La Paz rate in your organization? Is he trusted? Do you trust him? She looked thoughtful. Everyone at the meeting was supposed to be vouched for, but I don't know him. You have feeling about him? I like him, even though he argued against me. Do you know anything about him? Oh, yes. Known him 20 years. I trust him, but can't extend trust for you. Trouble. It's your air bottle, not mine. She smiled warmly. Manny, since you trust him, I trust him just as firmly. I went back to phone. Prof, are you on Dodge? He chuckled. Precisely, Manuel. Know a hole called Grand Hotel Raffles? Room L, 2 decks below lobby. Can you get there without tracks? Have you had breakfast? What do you like for breakfast? He chuckled again. Manuel, one pupil can make a teacher feel that his years were not wasted. I know where it is. I shall get there quietly. I have not broken fast, and I eat anything I can't pat. Wyo had started putting beds together. I want to help. What do you want for breakfast? Shan toast. Juice would be nice. Not enough. Well, a boiled egg, but I pay for breakfast. 2 boiled eggs, buttered toast with jam, juice. I'll roll you. Your dice are mine. Mine. I cheat. I went to lift, asked for display. Saw something called the Happy Hangover. All portions extra large. Tomato juice, scrambled eggs, ham steak, fried potatoes, corn cakes, and honey. Toast, butter, milk, tea or coffee. HKL, $4.50 for 2. I ordered it for 2. No wish to advertise a third person. We were clean and shining, room orderly, and set for breakfast. And while I changed from black outfit into red dress, because company was coming, when Lyft jingled food. Changing the dress had caused words. She had paused, smiled, and said, Manny, I'm so pleased with this dress. How did you know it would suit me so well? Genius. I think you may be. What did it cost? I must pay you. On sale, marked down to authority cents, 50. She clouded up and stumped foot. Was bare, made no sound, caused her to bounce a half meter. Happy landing, I wished her, while she pawed for foothold like a new chum. Manuel O'Kelly, if you think I will accept expensive clothing from a man I'm not even bundling with. Easily corrected. Fletcher, I'll tell your wives. Do that. Mom always thinks worst of me. I went to lift, started dealing out dishes. Door sounded. I flipped, hear 'em, no see 'em. Who comes? Message for Gaspadine Smith. A cracked voice answered. Gaspadine Bernardo Smith. I flipped bolts and let Professor Bernardo De La Paz in. He looked like poor grade of salvage. Dirty clothes, filthy himself, hair unkempt, paralyzed down one side and hand twisted, one eye a film of cataract. Perfect picture of old wrecks who sleep in bottom alley and caged drinks and pickled eggs in cheap tap rooms. He drooled. As soon as I bolted door, he straightened up, let features come back to normal, folded hands over wishbone, looked Wyo up and down, sucked air kimono style, and whistled. "Even more lovely," he said, "than I remembered." She smiled, over her mad. "Thanks, Professor, but don't bother. Nobody here but comrades. Senorita, the day I let politics interfere with my appreciation of beauty, that day I retire from politics. But you are gracious." He looked away, glanced closely around the room. I said, "Prof, quit checking for evidence, you dirty old man. Last night was politics. Nothing but politics." "That's not true." Wyo flared up. I struggled for hours, but he was too strong for me. "Professor, what's the party discipline in such cases, here in Luna City?" Prof tut-tutted and rolled blank eye. "Manuel, I'm surprised. It's a serious matter, my dear. Elimination, usually. But it must be investigated. Did you come here willingly?" "He drugged me." "Dragged, dear lady. Let's not corrupt the language. Do you have bruises to show?" I said, "Eggs getting cold. Can't we eliminate me after breakfast?" "An excellent thought," agreed Prof. "Manuel, could you spare your old teacher a liter of water to make himself more presentable? All you want in there. Don't drag or you'll get what littlest pig got." "Thank you, sir." He retired, were sounds of brushing and washing. Wyo and I finished arranging the table. "Bruises," I said. "Struggled all night." "You deserved it. You insulted me." "How?" "You failed to insult me, that's how. After you drugged me here." Had to get Mike to analyze that. Michelle would understand it. "Manny, may I change my mind and have a little piece of that ham?" "Half is yours." Prof is semi-vegetarian. Prof came out and, while did not look his most debonair, was neat and clean. Hair combed, dimples back, and happy sparkle in eye. Fake cataract gone. "Prof, how do you do it?" "Long practice, Manuel. I've been in this business far longer than you young people. Just once, many years ago in Lima, a lovely city, I ventured to stroll on a fine day without such forethought, and it got me transported. What a beautiful table!" "Sit by me, Prof." Wyo invited. "I don't want to sit by him, rapist." "Look," I said, "first we eat, then we eliminate me. Prof, fill plate and tell what happened last night." "May I suggest a change in program? Manuel, the life of a conspirator is not an easy one, and I learned before you were born not to mix provender and politics. Disturbs the gastric enzymes and leads to ulcers, the occupational disease of the underground." That fish smells good." "Fish?" "That pink salmon," Prof answered, pointing at him. A long, pleasant time later we reached coffee-tea stage. Prof leaned back, sighed, and said, "Большое спасибо, госпожа и господин." Talk for naught. It was wonderfully good. I don't know when I felt more at peace with the world. Yes, last evening. I saw not too much of the proceedings because, just as you two were achieving an admirable retreat, I lived to fight another day. I bugged out. Made it to the wings in one long flat dive. When I did venture to peek out, the party was over. Most had left, and all Yellow Jackets were dead. Note, must correct this. I learned more later. When trouble started, I was trying to get Wyo through door. Prof produced a handgun and fired over heads, picking off 3 bodyguards at rear main door, including one wearing bull voice. How he smuggled the weapon up to the rock, or managed to liberate it later, I don't know. But Prof's shooting joined with Shorty's work to turn tables. Not one Yellow Jacket got out alive. Several people were burned, and 4 were killed. but knives, hands, and heels finished it in seconds. Perhaps I should say, all but one. Prof went on. 2 Cossacks at the door through which you departed had been given quietus by our brave comrade Shorty McCrum. And I am sorry to say that Shorty was lying across them, dying. We knew. So, dulce et decorum. One guard in that doorway had a damaged face but was still moving. I gave his neck a treatment known in professional circles earthside as the Istanbul twist. He joined his mates, but then most of the living had left. Just myself, our chairman of the evening, Finn Nielsen, a comrade known as Mom, that being what her husbands called her. I consulted with Comrade Finn, and we bolted all doors. That left a cleaning job. Do you know the arrangements backstage there? Not me, I said. Lyle shook head. There's a kitchen and pantry, used for banquets. I suspect that Mom and family run a butcher shop, for they disposed of bodies as fast as Finn, and I carried them back. Their speed limited only by the rate at which portions could be ground up and flushed into the city's cloaca. The sight made me quite faint. So I spent time mopping in the hall. Clothing was the difficult part, especially those quasi-military uniforms. What did you do with those laser guns? Prof turned bland eyes on me. Guns? Dear me, they must have disappeared. We removed everything of the personal nature from bodies of our departed comrades, for relatives, for identification, for sentiment. Eventually, we had everything tidy. Not a job that would fool Interpol, but one as to make it seem unlikely that anything untoward had taken place. We conferred, agreed that it would be well not to be seen soon, and left separately, myself by a pressure door above the stage leading up to level 6. Thereafter I tried to call you, Manuel, being worried about your safety and that of this dear lady. Prof mouthed a while. That completes the tale. I spent the night in quiet places. Prof, I said, those guards were no chums, still getting their legs. Or we wouldn't have won. That could be, he agreed, but had they not been, the outcome would have been the same. Also, they were armed. Lad, have you ever seen a boxer dog? Oh, I think not. No dogs that large in Luna. The boxer is a result of special selection. Gentle and intelligent, he turns instantly into deadly killer when occasion requires. Here has been bred an even more curious creature. I know of no city on Terra with as high standards of good manners and consideration for one's fellow man as here in Luna. By comparison, Terran cities, I have known most major ones, are barbaric. Yet the loony is as deadly as the boxer dog. Meanwhile, 9 guards, no matter how armed, stood no chance against that pack. Our patron used bad judgment. Seen a morning paper, Prof, or a videocast? The latter, yes. Nothing in web news last night? Nor this morning. Odd, I said. What's odd about it? Asked Lyle. We won't talk, and we have comrades in key places in every paper in Luna. Prof shook his head. No, my dear, not that simple. Censorship. Do you know how copy is set in our newspapers? Not exactly. It's done by machinery. Here's what Prof means, I told her. News is typed in editorial offices. From there on, it's a leased service directed by a master computer at Authority Complex. Hoped she would notice master computer rather than Mike. Copy prints out there via phone circuit. These rolls feed into a computer section which reads, sets copy, and prints out newspapers at several locations. Novelin edition of Daily Lunatic prints out in Novelin changes in ads and local stories. A computer makes changes from standard symbols. Doesn't have to be told how. What Prof means is that at printout, at Authority Complex, Warden could intervene. Same for all news services, both off and to Luna, that funnel through computer room. The point is, Prof went on, the Warden could have killed the story. It's irrelevant whether he did, or, check me, Manuel, you know I'm hazy about machinery. He could insert a story, too, no matter how many comrades we have in newspaper offices. Sure, I agreed. At Complex, anything can be added, cut, or changed. And that, Senorita, is the weakness of our cause. Communications. Those goons were not important, but crucially important is that it lay with the Warden, not with us, to decide whether the story should be told. To a revolutionist, communications are sine qua non. Lyle looked at me, and I could see synapses snapping. So I changed subject. Prof, why get rid of bodies? Besides, horrible job was dangerous. Don't know how many bodyguards Warden has, but more could show up while you were doing it. Believe me, lad, we feared that. But although I was almost useless, it was my idea. I had to convince the others. Oh, not my original idea, but remembrance of things past. An historical principle. What principle? Terror. A man can face known danger, but the unknown frightens him. We disposed of those finks, teeth and toenails, to strike terror into their mates. Nor do I know how many effectives the Warden has, but I guarantee they are less effective today. Their mates went out on an easy mission. Nothing came back. Lyle shivered. It scares me too. They will be anxious to go inside a warren again. But Professor, you say you don't know how many bodyguards the Warden keeps. The organization knows. 27. If 9 were killed, only 18 are left. Perhaps it's time for a putsch. No. No, I answered. Why not, Manny? They'll never be weaker. Not weak enough. Killed 9 because they were crackers to walk in where we were. But if Warden stays home with guards around him, well, had enough shoulder-to-shoulder noise last night. I turned to Prof. But still I'm interested in fact. If it is, then Warden now has only 18. You said Weil should not go to Hong Kong, and I should not go home. But if he has only 18 left, I wonder how much danger. Later, after he gets reinforcements, but now, well, El City has 4 main exits, plus many little ones. How many can they guard? What's to keep Weil from walking to Tube West, getting Pisut, going home? She might. Prof agreed. I think I must. Lyle said, I can't stay here forever. If I have to hide, I can do better in Hong Kong where I know people. You might get away with it, my dear. I doubt it. There were 2 yellow jackets at Tube Station West last night. I saw them. They may not be there now. Let's assume they are not. You go to the station, disguised, perhaps. You get your pea suit, and take a capsule to Baluthahatchee. As you climb out to take the bus to Ennsville, you're arrested. Communications. No need to post a yellow jacket at the station. It is enough that someone sees you there. A phone call does the rest. But you assumed that I was disguised. Your height cannot be disguised, and your pressure suit would be watched by someone not suspected of any connection to the Warden. Most probably a comrade. Prof dimpled. The trouble with conspiracies is that they rot internally. When the number is as high as 4, chances are even that 1 is a spy. Lyle said glumly, You make it sound hopeless. Not at all, my dear. 1 chance in 1,000, perhaps. I can't believe it. I don't believe it. Why, in the years I've been active, we have gained members by the hundreds. We have organizations in all major cities. We have the people with us. Prof shook head. Every new member made it. That much more likely that you would be betrayed. Wyoming, dear lady, revolutions are not won by enlisting the masses. Revolution is a science only a few are competent to practice. It depends on correct organization and, above all, on communications. Then, at the proper moment in history, they strike. Correctly organized and properly timed, it is a bloodless coup. Done clumsily or prematurely, and the result is civil war, mob violence, purges, terror. I hope you will forgive me if I say that, up to now, it has been done clumsily. Weil looked baffled. What do you mean by correct organization? Functional organization. How does one design an electric motor? Would you attach a bathtub to it, simply because one was available? Would a bouquet of flowers help? A heap of rocks? No, you would use just those elements necessary to its purpose, and make it no larger than needed. And you would incorporate safety factors. Function controls design. So it is with revolution. Organization must be no larger than necessary. Never recruit anyone merely because he wants to join, nor seek to persuade for the pleasure of having another share your views. He'll share them when the time comes, or you've misjudged the moment in history. Oh, there will be an educational organization, but it must be separate. Agitprop is no part of basic structure. As to basic structure, a revolution starts as a conspiracy. Therefore, structure is small, secret, and organized as to minimize damage by betrayal, since there always are betrayals. One solution is the cell system, and so far nothing better has been invented. Much theorizing has gone into optimum cell size. I think that history shows that a cell of 3 is best. More than 3 can't agree on when to have dinner, much less when to strike. Manuel, you belong to a large family. Do you vote on when to have dinner? Bog, no. Mom decides. Ah. Prof took a pad from his pouch, began to sketch. Here is a cells of 3 tree. If I were planning to take over Luna, I would start with us 3. One would be opted as chairman. We wouldn't vote. Choice would be obvious. Or we aren't the right 3. We would know the next 9 people. 3 cells. But each cell would only... Does it really? At the next level, there are 2 ways of linking. This Conrad, second level, knows his cell leader, his 2 cellmates, and on the 3rd level he knows the 3 in his subcell. He may or may not know his cellmates' subcells. One method doubles security. The other doubles speed of repair if security is penetrated. Let's say he does not know his cellmates' subcells. Manuel, how many can he betray? Don't say he won't. Today they can brainwash any person, and starch and iron and use him. How many? 6, I answered. He's boss, 2 cellmates, 3 in subcell. 7, Proof corrected. He betrays himself, too, which leaves 7 broken links on 3 levels to repair. How? I don't see how it can be, objected Weil. You've got them so split up it falls to pieces. Manuel, an exercise for the student. Well, blokes down there have to have way to send message up 3 levels. Don't have to know who, just have to know where. Precisely. But, Prof, I went on, there's a better way to rig it. Really? Many revolutionary theorists have hammered this out, Manuel. I have such confidence in them that I'll offer you a wager. At, say, 10 to 1. Ought to take your money. Take stem cells. Arrange an open pyramid of tetrahedrons, where verticals are in common. Each block knows 1 in adjoining cell, knows how to send message to him. That's all he needs. Communication never break down because they run sideways as well as up and down. Something like a neural net. It's why you can knock a hole in a man's head, take chunk of brain out, and not damage thinking much. Excess capacity, messages shunt around. He loses what was destroyed but goes on functioning. Manuel, Prof said doubtfully. Could you draw a picture? It sounds good, but it's so contrary to orthodox doctrine that I need to see it. Well, could do better with stereo drafting machine. I'll try. Anybody who thinks it's easy to sketch 121 tetrahedrons, a 5-level open pyramid, clear enough to show relationships, is invited to try. Presently I said, look at base sketch. Each vertex of each triangle shares half with 0, 1, or 2 other triangles. Where shares 1, that's its link. One direction, or both. But one is enough for multiply redundant communication net. On corners, where sharing is 0, it jumps to right, to next corner. Where sharing is double, choice is again right-handed. Now work it with people. Take level 4. D for dog. This vertex is Comrade Dan. No, let's go down 1 to show 3 levels of communication knocked out. Level E for easy. Pick Comrade Egbert. Egbert works under Donald. Has cellmates Edward and Elmer. And has 3 under him. Frank, Fred, and Fatso. But knows how to send message to Ezra on his own level, but not in his cell. He does not know Ezra's name, face, address, or anything, but has a way, phone number probably, to reach Ezra in emergency. Now watch it work. Casimir, level 3, thinks out and betrays Charlie and Cox in his cell. Baker above him, and Donald, Dan, and Dick in subcell, which isolates Egbert, Edward, and Elmer, and everybody under them. All 3 report in. Redundancy. Necessary to any communication system. But follow Egbert's yell for help. He calls Ezra, but Ezra is under Charlie and is isolated too. No matter, Ezra relays both messages through his safety link, Edmund. By bad luck, Edmund is under Cox, so he also passes it laterally, through Enright. And that gets it past Burned Out Part. And it goes up through Dover, Chambers, and Beeswax to Adam, front office, who replies down other side of pyramid with lateral pass on E for easy level from Esther to Egbert and on to Ezra and Edmund. These 2 messages, up and down, not only get through at once, but in a way they get through. They define to home office exactly how much damage has been done and where. Organization not only keeps functioning, but starts repairing itself at once. Lyle was tracing out lines, convincing herself it would work, which it would, was idiot circuit. Let Mike study a few milliseconds, and could produce a better, safer, more foolproof hookup. And probably, certainly, ways to avoid betrayal while speeding up routings. But I'm not a computer. Prof was staring with blank expression. What's trouble? I said. It'll work. This is my pigeon. Manuel, my